You are now entering Video Village.
You're free to knock on doors, just know that our God is a jealous one.
Coming up,
I review Black Mirror Season 7, Cloud, Dead Nail, and Étoile.
and we review Freaky Tales,
Havoc,
Locked,
Daredevil Born Again,
a Minecraft movie,
and The Pitt. Okay, we're going to start with some Sam-only reviews,
okay?
because you didn't do your job. So,
I made a lovely new Lexus Center
don't give me excuses.
intro that you're not even going to use
Give
this
me
episode.
Excuses. No, that's right. Well, yeah, I can't... Look, I don't march to the beat of your drum, all right?
I did it for you, Sam.
Okay. Well, firstly, Black Mirror Season 7.
Yeah, so I think I mentioned in the last episode we were talking about Side Quest, I think, because that was another anthology series. So we were going to talk about this. At the time, I hadn't seen it, and I still haven't, which is why it's a Sam-only review. Because I'd had a couple of weeks off work, and I kind of just wanted to enjoy myself.
Yes.
And then I went back to work last week, and it was a shit week. So I didn't want to make the week worse by watching back. I think this is a case where the reputation of the show sort of precedes itself a little bit. Because I know that it's a good show, broadly speaking.
Yeah.
But I also know that, I think there's one episode in particular this season where a lot of people are like, oh, it's so harrowing, it's so kind of
But that's not
depressing.
true, though. And that shouldn't turn you off from watching something.
Well, it did.
Okay.
But I am planning on watching it before the end of the year.
I wouldn't now. Okay, just for your numbers, yeah.
Yeah. Unless you say something that convinces me otherwise.
Okay, well, again, it's the anthology thing. It's episode by episode, so that's how I'll talk about it. But... yeah, talking about it, what you should have watched it for us to talk. I'm not having a go.
No.
But if you were to watch it, it would have been to talk about. Now that it's over, it's not a show I would necessarily say, oh, you have to catch up on that.
Okay.
But yeah, okay. So the first episode is the episode to which you refer. It's called Common People.
Right.
And you gotta also realise that a lot of the people that say, oh, it's so harrowing and depressing, they're babies and pansy. If I said to you, oh, this is really harrowing, take note.
Okay.
Do you know what I mean? I know I have a slightly higher, bandwidth and that kind of thing. Yeah, the children, don't listen to them.
Okay.
Okay, so the first episode is called Common People. Now, I don't dislike Black Mirror, but there's often that point with episodes where you go, oh, okay, so it's that.
Okay.
That's the premise.
Yeah.
In this, it's upselling subscriptions, online subscriptions, targeted ads, that kind of thing. Yeah, so basically Rashida Jones is dying and she can get implanted with this thing that stops it. But they've got to stay within a certain perimeter.
Okay.
Right? Because otherwise, it'll deactivate and she'll, So as the episode goes on, then she starts, speaking adverts. She's like, oh, yeah, you need to upgrade to the Plus package.
Right.
And then when that, now you need to upgrade to the Premium package, all that kind of thing. And it ends with, they just can't take it anymore. They can't afford it anymore. Chris O'Dowd is having to, resort to doing things on webcams.
Okay.
To get money. And in the end, she's not on it anymore, and he kills her.
Right.
Right? He smothers her with a pillow. So that's the harrowing thing that people are talking about.
Does anyone point out the irony of this episode being on Netflix?
Well, exactly.
Yeah.
That's one of the things, isn't it? Though I don't think Netflix is they don't upsell, right? I think if you have a Netflix subscription, that's it.
Yeah, but they do raise their prices quite a lot.
They raise their prices, yeah.
Yeah, and I think they're cracking down on password sharing as well.
So that's fair enough.
Yeah, but I think that I don't know whether I saw something that's saying they're planning to implement something where you have to log in every X amount of days, otherwise your account gets.
Okay, well, I don't have so much of a problem with that. I mean, if I work for Netflix, they're not short of money. I don't think they're suffering much. So I might make it we just allow people to share passwords.
Yeah.
That's the cost of doing business, hoping that the general use will make more people get, anyway. So if this was a thing, someone would have made an ad blocker that you have to implant up your arse or something like that. If that technology existed.
Yeah.
I know it's satire. The problem is there's no real world equivalent of this kind of thing. I just don't think people are shoving dildos up their arse on live streams to pay for Disney Plus.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? The stakes just aren't comparable.
I mean, I know like the go-to thing is subscription, like those kind of subscriptions, like Disney Plus or PlayStation Network or whatever. Is there an argument to be made about it's actually saying something about healthcare? Like people that have to afford like insulin, which is ridiculously expensive and stuff like that.
Yeah. Possibly, and there's an indictment of the American medical system. But yeah, people just pirate. Right? Like in real life, there's no pirating life.
Yeah.
And if this was a real thing, I'd understand that desperation that Chris O'Dowd has. So if you view it purely as relatively unmoored sci-fi, it's okay.
Okay.
But it doesn't say much to me about the world. But Chris O'Dowd's pretty good in it.
Right, okay.
But that's the first one. Then we have Bête Noire.
Right.
This one is about the Mandela effect, basically.
Okay.
It has kind of an old boy story, which a rumour ruined a high schooler's life. Now they've come back for revenge.
Okay.
It has a goofy ending and ultimately pretty weak and forgettable. The third one is called Hotel Reverie. Mm-hmm. Now, Hollywood is doing a lot of satire about Hollywood right now. AI and everything else. It's a variable quality and it might interest us, but there is an element of the industry disappearing up its own derriere as well.
Yeah.
There was something interesting about having to hit the beats of a film so that it might continue. So that's kind of the premise is an old black and white film, and now they're going to artificially insert new actors into old films.
Oh, okay.
But then it kind of becomes, but you have to like get the narrative to go the way it goes in the original film. And if it goes off track, you have to get it back on track for like full synchronicity, that kind of thing.
Right.
That's how my dreams work. I have dreams like that.
Okay.
It's not dissimilar to San Junipero, another Black Mirror episode that was about lesbians. It went on a bit. I do see its central conceit, though, becoming a thing. Inserting new actors into old films.
Yeah.
If only it ends up being AI made for fun on the internet things, you know? But I wouldn't be surprised if mainstream films start doing that.
Well, I mean, that's already like a branch of meme culture, isn't it?
Yeah.
You edit people into...
Of course.
What are those... I don't know if it's called alternative cuts or amazing cuts. I've shown you a couple of them, though. He does a lot of Breaking Bad stuff. It's like there's a video where he's inserted a load of Breaking Bad characters into Hell's Kitchen.
Yes.
And I think there's another one where it's like that scene where Gus is walking through gunfire, but then he's editing in like the Terminator and like all these other characters as well. Yeah.
Yes, okay. The next episode, Plaything. It's got Peter Capaldi in it. This episode is a sequel to Bandersnatch, which
that work?
How does it work?
Yeah.
Well, it's a sequel to it. Takes place after it.
But doesn't Bandersnatch have like multiple endings?
I can't remember how that works.
Okay.
Maybe it's a sequel to the bits that are canon, like whatever happens, this stuff happened. Do you know what I mean?
Right.
Whatever the ending, there's stuff in it that happens regardless. I don't know.
Okay.
But Peter Capaldi in it weirdly reminded me of Spud in Trainspotting. You know,
oh, right. Okay.
That scene where he's going for the job interview and he's just like pontificating. Like, it reminded me of that.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't really remember Bandersnatch. There's a character in this played by Will Poulter who calls Sonic the Hedgehog an obscene puppet. How do you feel about that?
It would depend on the context.
Would it?
Well, a puppet for what?
Just a puppet. Like basically, he's created a game where the characters in it are becoming sentient.
Okay.
And so he says, you know, hey, these are something special, not some obscene puppet like Sonic.
Oh, so puppet is in like...
It's just a character you play. It's not, you know...
Well, I mean, he is. I can't argue with that logic.
All right, fine.
If it was an idea of like, he's some sort of like...
stooge.
Yeah, they're smuggling like right-wing politics through Sonic, or like, I'd be like, what?
Okay.
But if it's just like, oh no, it's just because you control it, it's like, okay.
Fine.
It's not a nice way of putting it, but I guess I can't argue with you, yeah.
All right. Then the next episode's called Eulogy. This is the best episode. It has Paul Giamatti for one thing.
Oh, well, there you go then.
Yeah. It was, I won't spoil the premise, but it has a cool technique with photographs that was good.
Okay.
It affected me emotionally, and there was no major twist. It was just nice.
Okay.
You know, a nice story.
How much of that was Giamatti, and how much of that was the episode around him, do you think?
It's half and half. Like, he's very good in it, but the episode, it's a good script.
Okay.
So I think it would have been good, whatever, if you had a decent actor in the lead, you know?
Yeah.
And the final episode, USS Callister Into Infinity. Naturally a sequel to USS Callister.
Okay.
I also don't remember that episode. I didn't think much of this episode or in it.
Okay.
So that's my review of Black Mirror series.
Okay, so mixed bag is what you're saying.
Always a mixed bag with Black Mirror. I'm not like a big fan of the show. If you're going to watch any of it. Like, I wouldn't watch this season, you know?
Okay.
I suppose that you'd watch episodes.
Yeah.
You wouldn't watch seasons.
Okay.
Yeah, anyway, okay. So next, I'm going to do a little double bill. 2 films, one called Cloud and one called Dead Male.
Okay.
Now, I'm putting them together because there's not a whole lot to say about either of them. Not for me, anyway. They're both quick recommendations. And they're both obscure thrillers.
Okay.
So I thought they'd work well together. So Cloud. It's a Japanese psychological thriller. It's basically about a guy called Yoshi who he works like a garment factory by day and he's a reseller by night. You know, buys things in bulk and ups the that kind of thing. And then people that he's ripped off they meet on a forum online and decide to take revenge on him.
Okay.
The visuals are crisp. There's an acute sense of unease. So early on, I thought it was it was a horror film going in that direction because there's a lot of paranoia starts settling in with him, and there's a lot of the kind of horror I like, which is it's like he's looking at something off screen that might be over there, you know, but you don't see it, and he's like, "Oh, what's that over there?" But then it's just more of a traditional thriller, a psychological thriller, and it has a satisfying action finale. There's a cryptic nature to the ending, and an overall cryptic nature to the point of the film, but it's an interesting watch, so I'd recommend that.
Okay.
And the next film, Dead Male, this is up your alley, the premise of it. It's set in the 80s in Peoria, which is a Midwest town, and it's a guy working at a post office who is a dead letter investigator, which is not a real thing.
Okay.
But letters that can't get delivered and just end up in limbo, he will find out where they were supposed to go.
Okay.
If possible.
Yeah.
And there's something that they receive that's basically, I've been kidnapped. It's got blood on it, or what looks like blood, and he has to work out if it's real, what might have happened. And then meanwhile, we see the guy who is kidnapped and his captor, and we explore how that happened. That's kind of the setup.
Okay.
The camera work and editing, they're somewhat off, which is indicative of the low budget. It's a very low budget.
Right.
Shudder horror film.
Okay.
Kind of horror film. But you settle into it, and that becomes the film's visual identity. It ends up working for it.
Okay.
The concept is original. It's nicely written, cleverly put together. Technical dialogue and people and processes, and a smartly plotted investigation that doesn't undermine the villain, quote-unquote, intelligence. So basically you find out it's this guy who has a weird, kind of unclear relationship with analog music. And he finds, the world's leading, genius synthesizer engineer. Again, this is the 80s. And he wants to strike up a partnership with him. But he has a weird fascination with this guy. Maybe it's love. You're never really sure. And when the guy takes a job at a big Japanese firm, he keeps him there.
Okay.
But when they're talking about the synth, it's technical language that's very kind of well realized. It traffics somewhat, like I said, in analog nostalgia, but in a good way. This is like an 80s indie. It's not neon and wigs. It's regional post offices and mild-mannered workers.
Okay.
You know?
Yeah.
The cast is comprised of total unknowns, which helps the fact that the film ends on a "where are they now?" of the real people. Which is a total fiction.
Okay.
Like Fargo.
Interesting.
It's not a true story at all.
Yeah.
But it looks like the real people at the end, the photos they've used. And I Googled it. It's not like a found footage horror. You believe this is possible. You know? Some forgotten story from this small Midwest town. Again, like Fargo. Have you ever heard the expression, will it play in Peoria, incidentally?
No.
It's the town where it's set. It's basically, it comes, I think, from either an old newspaper headline or some presidential quote. It basically means, will it play to the people? Forget New York and Los Angeles.
Right.
Will it play in Peoria?
Okay.
And this is where it's set. I'd hope for a little more of Jasper. He's the dead male investigator. He's a cool cat, like a black guy in his 40s or 50s that just gets on with a job. I liked him. Spoiler, he doesn't last very long, but I did like him. But I get why he doesn't last very long. And there's a touch of James Spader in John Fleck's Trent, the villain, if you like.
Okay.
He has that kind of voice, that kind of, it's very, you know it when you hear it. It has a very, the cadence and the delivery. I like that.
Okay.
It's a little thriller gem that I would recommend to you.
Okay.
So that's that. And then finally, Étoile.
Étoile.
So this is about, you have a New York ballet company and a Parisian ballet company, and they're in financial dire straits because no one's going to watch ballet anymore, especially after COVID.
Okay.
And so, as kind of a gimmick, they swap their main dancers.
Right. Is it about a girl who don't feel like dancing?
What's that?
I don't know what song it is. It's a song, isn't it?
A girl who don't feel like dancing.
I don't feel like dancing. Da-da-da-da-da.
Yeah. I don't feel like dancing. Or was that a different song?
No, that's it. The Bee Gees.
No, it's not the Bee Gees. It's Scissor Sisters, isn't it?
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think so.
All right.
No, absolutely not.
Okay.
So this is a new show, an Amazon show from Amy Sherman Palladino and Danielle Palladino, known as the Palladinos, who are behind Gilmore Girls and The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel, both of which you should watch. They also created Bunheads, which was also a ballet-themed show that was cancelled after one season. So I did a little research, and apparently Amy Sherman Palladino was trained in ballet from childhood, and then she kind of pursued dual lanes of dancing and writing, and then was offered a job on Roseanne. So she's like, okay, I'll be a writer then.
Right.
Apparently to the great displeasure of her mother.
Okay.
So I think ballet is like kind of a thing that she's wanted to exercise for a long time.
Okay.
The cast features Luke Kirby, who won an Emmy for playing Lenny Bruce on Maisel, Yannick Truesdale and Kelly Bishop, Gilmore regulars, and David Haig, of whom I'm a fan, and I think you are as well.
Am I?
I think so. Well, I imagine he's basically unknown to American audiences besides his small role in Killing Eve, and it's rare that I'll be offered the organic opportunity to do so. So let me recommend Playing Sandwiches, his Alan Bennett monologue.
Oh,
he's that
yes.
guy.
Okay.
Yes. It's nice to see him in a show like this, though they do very much convince you that he's going to die before the season's out. He doesn't, thank God.
Okay.
Lou Delage will be considered the MVP as Cheyenne, the opinionated, abrasive ballerina at the heart of it all, who is very frustrating but also very attractive, so it all evens out. And it's nice to see Charlotte Gainsbourg in something not mental. She's a Lars von Trier regular,
right,
so
okay.
yeah, like Antichrist, all that business. It doesn't really do guest stars at all. Then in the same episode, they drop Nina Arianda and Jonathan Groff. It's like, okay, I guess we're doing that now. And Sparks show up in the finale.
Oh, right.
Yeah, Cheyenne dances to I Married Myself. Yeah, that's like the big finale number. So yeah, that was interesting. Simon Callow is the most entertaining in the ensemble. It's such a shame the last thing he did was Blood and Honey 2. Seriously. So his character reminded me of Mr. Burns, weirdly enough.
Oh, right.
I remember Conan O'Brien talking about it and saying that he was the most fun character to write because he's infinitely wealthy and infinitely old.
Yes.
So like all the jokes you can do using that, you know? So Callow, his character is called Crispin Chambly. He's certainly the former, infinitely wealthy. He's an uber wealthy patron of the arts who's also tied up with shady, maybe fascistic elements.
Okay.
So it's kind of like, who is this guy? He affords the writers the chance to do more out there comedy. So like there's a scene in a restaurant where he surrounded himself with perfect doubles in case he's targeted for assassination. So he's just had all these people have surgery to look exactly like him.
Oh, right.
There's another where he arrives to a gala just after escaping a days-long abduction. So he looks homeless, he's all dirty and everything, but he's finally escaped, implying that his captors are now dead.
Oh, right.
She's like, what time is it? Like, are they still there? What time is it? I don't know, 7:05. Not now. I guess people have moved in there, do you know what I mean? So, yeah, he is good. I expected David Haig to be the standout, and he is great, but Callow is a lot of fun. I think pompous Brits in American shows are usually the highlight.
Yes.
You know?
Yeah.
Gerald! The show has the colourful, rapid-fire dialogue laden with pop culture references, characteristic of the Palladinos' other work. Now, I am not interested in dancing in general, and that would cover ballet. I'm in no position to judge what's good or bad, other than I know falling over is bad.
Okay.
You know? To enjoy Étoile, you don't have to enjoy ballet, but of course it wouldn't hurt, right? Much of it is set in France, filmed in France too, and much of the dialogue is French, so, you know,
Right.
But it's fine, it's ballet, you know? It comes to the territory.
Okay.
There's a scene early on where the news is reporting on the swap. One reporter says, the swap has dominated the news in cultural circles, which makes one realise just how much of a silo that world is, you know? Nothing about it bleeds over into ours, or most people's. I know the names of around 5 ballet dancers, and I like Billy Elliot.
Okay.
That's kind of my knowledge of ballet.
Yeah, Billy Elliot is where it stops for me. I don't know any.
Have you ever heard of Rudolf Nureyev?
I don't think so.
No? Okay. Baryshnikov?
No.
Pavlova?
I know Swan Lake.
Yeah, okay. And you've heard of the Nutcracker and Swan Lake, presumably. Okay, yeah. Basically the same. T-Rex's Cosmic Dancer, by the way, that's used in this and Billy Elliot. Do you know that song? Used to dance when I was 12.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. That. The show did make me curious enough to look up the dancers considered the greatest ever on YouTube. to see if I could detect anything, like why they considered the best. But for many of them, there basically isn't any footage because they were early 20th century, late 19th century,
Right.
So far, it's not as good as Gilmore or Maisel, but it does have potential. It takes a few episodes to get into the swing of things. It starts off a bit flighty and diffuse. And the episodes are too long. Many are over an hour in length.
Right.
Yeah, that's hard. It could have done with an abbreviated runtime and more concrete direction early on. And as you might expect, many of the characters in this world are rude and insufferable. But fun is poked at that, right? They know that that's the case. The writers know that's the case. So we're meant to like them anyway. Some we do, some we don't. There's a choreographer named Tobias, for instance, who I found very irritating. When he ends up snogging his will they won't they dude, he's gay obviously, I was meant to rejoice, and I did not. I just couldn't care less about him. But the show did definitely improve overall. It found its way in the second half, and I'm more than happy to go back. I would recommend it, but it's not a masterpiece, and it requires your patience. But I'm a big fan of their writing. And like I said, by the second half, it's settled into that. But you've got to be patient if you're going to watch it.
Okay.
So that's that.
All right.
Okay, so now for the mutual reviews. Freaky Tales.
Indeed.
What's this about?
It's about 4 freaky tales set in somewhere else.
All Oakland.
No, somewhere else. I meant, like Oakland, Philadelphia, or Oakland.
Oh, California.
Right, okay. It's set in Oakland, California. Yeah. It follows 4 stories that are loosely connected, but it's basically an anthology film.
Yes.
The only real connective tissue between the 4 stories being there's this green stuff.
Yeah, like alien energy thing.
Yeah, this kind of like force that like manifests as green.
Yeah.
That some of the characters harness for personal gain during their stories.
Yeah, we can talk about what that... I mean, I don't really care to dig into it, but like, I think I got what that's kind of meant to be, sort of.
I mean, that's one of those things where like... Because there's a little text scroll at the beginning of the film where I think they're like, oh, this green stuff showed up one day.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, well, if it just showed up one day and it's just there, I'll live with that.
Yeah, that's just the reality of the world.
But yeah, in terms of the stories, there are 4. So we've got...
we don't have to premise each story.
Well, maybe just to like...
No.
No?
I don't think so. We don't have to explain each story.
All right.
Yeah, it's an anthology, like you said. It's sci-fi action. They're all sci-fi action-y stories.
Sure.
Set in 87, and yes, in Oakland, using real locations and real-life figures in history. So a lot of real people show up in this film that were from Oakland. It's like a rapper and that kind of thing.
Yeah, well, I was going to say that's interesting because like when I watched it, I didn't get that impression that it was like a love letter to Oakland. Okay. I did think that it was like a vehicle for a rapper that appears in this, though.
Okay.
Who I didn't even know if he was a real person or not.
I think I just picked up, because it was so specific that it was Oakland 87, I think I just kind of picked up, oh, this feels real, And then when people started popping up in it, I was Googling, like, are they from Oakland? Yeah, all right, that's what this is doing.
Okay.
Yeah, it's 80s nostalgia from Anna Boden and Ryan Flack, known formerly for their gritty, naturalistic films. So Half Nelson, Mississippi Grind, and then Captain Marvel.
Yes. Gritty, realistic.
Until Captain Marvel. It's heavy on the timely movie references, including a scene where a guy goes into a video store and is intellectually attacked by the cashier, played by Tom Hanks in a cameo. He's alluded to a few times before he pops up. It's like, oh, who's that guy in... I think not Big, that hadn't happened yet. Like, who's that guy in... what show was he in? Like, Bosom Buddies, or who's that guy in that Hangout movie? You know they're talking about Tom Hanks.
Okay.
Hanks wasn't a big name yet in 87, He's an actor we probably would have been familiar with, but certainly not, like, name recognition.
Well, it was surprising when he showed up.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, Pedro Pascal is also in this. It's in his story that Tom Hanks finally appears. But it's the type of film where you're watching it and it just looks like this mid to low budget.
Yes.
Just kind of like, oh, it's just these directors that just made a thing.
It's definitely a mid-indie film. Absolutely.
So when Tom Hanks shows up, it's like, hang on, what's going on here?
It's the kind of film that the filmmakers make and are then offered a Marvel film.
Yeah.
Like, oh, they've shown they can do sci-fi action. Now that's obviously happened with them before this.
Yes.
But it's the kind of film like what's that Colin Trevorrow film? You know, like he does that little safety not guaranteed. Is that him? Yeah. And then, okay, here's Jurassic World. You know, that kind of thing. But no, yeah, they did Captain Marvel already, so that's interesting. But when he popped up, I was like, okay, either he's from Oakland and that's why he agreed to do it.
Yeah.
Turns out, no, he went to school there, so I think he grew up in Oakland.
Okay.
Or it's like just the cachet of the directors now having done Marvel, like they can get Tom Hanks, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But then I saw in the credits the name Poppy Hanks. So it's like, what's that? His daughter's a producer. So there's a few things going into that.
Yes, okay.
So yeah, the film strives for city literate stylishness. There's a bit of blaxploitation, kung fu revenge stuff, a bit of Big Trouble in Little China. It's dense with period costuming, hairstyling, and design. It's not Dead Male. You know, it's doing the other.
Oh yeah, no,
thing.
this is the 80s nostalgia that we're all tired of.
Absolutely.
At this point. Yeah.
The violence is cartoonish and comic booky, akin to like what Tarantino did with Kill Bill. You know, those animated sequences.
Well, it's weird, isn't it? Because like each sequence kind of has its own little kind of flavor to it.
Yeah.
Like the first sequence, seen a couple of people reference Scott Pilgrim, and I can kind of see why.
Scott Pilgrim versus Green Room.
Yes.
Meets Green Room. That's kind of what that's just Scott Pilgrim versus. But you know, yeah, Scott Pilgrim meets Green Room. That was the vibe I got.
Yeah. But then that final sequence, yes, it's very much Kill Bill Volume 1 specifically.
Yes. Yeah. Definitely. Ben Mendelsohn has become a Bowden Fleck regular. Here he plays corrupt and slimy, just to mix it up.
Okay.
That's very much his USP.
Yeah.
The standout in the cast is Pedro Pascal. Yeah, like his segment would probably be considered the segment. You know, like it's the closest the film comes to narrative and thematic weight, which it basically lacks.
Yeah.
But that's the one you feel like, oh, the others are not built around narratively, but they had like this idea, but it's not a film. But I mean, then maybe they had one other idea, like, okay, let's do an anthology movie.
Well, that's the one where it starts to feel like it's kind of becoming more of a unit, because you got that first story, which is obviously just the first story.
Yeah.
Then you got the second story, which is sort of not really connected to it. Like it starts in the same place as the first one, but then it goes in a completely different direction.
Yeah, so I thought, oh, they're all going to start.
Yeah.
They've all the characters have just left the movies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But then Pedro Pascal is third. His story starts somewhere completely differently. And he crosses over with the first story a couple of times.
Yes.
So it's like, okay, this is starting to connect. And then I think he's in the final story as well.
Yes.
But also, his story seems to be the only one where I mentioned at the beginning that green stuff, people use it for like their own personal gain. Pedro Pascal's story is the only one where that's not the case. He's actually a victim of someone that's using it for their own personal gain. Because like in the first one, they use it to fight Nazis.
Yeah.
She has like a bracelet that's got this stuff in it and it allows her to like hit a Nazi or whatever. The second one, she uses it to like gain the confidence to do a rap battle that she's already rehearsed.
Here's the thing. There's not much in the way of connective tissue between these stories.
No.
But one strain that I think that green thing kind of represents, it's liberals overcoming, right? So it's like this, the grassroots ethos in a colour. Do you know what I mean?
Right.
So it's like, in the first one it's lefty punks beating Nazi punks. Then it's women rappers who are like evocative of Salt and Pepper. They defeat a misogynist in a rap battle.
Okay.
So it's kind of like the marginalised overcoming. That's sort of what the green is doing, you know?
Right. A misogynist that was eating out a woman before the show started.
You can be both.
Can you?
Of course.
Okay. I don't know. I don't know. Like,
it's obviously a selfless act to eat out a woman, but of course you can also...
Okay. I don't know. I didn't know what the stereotype was. I thought like it was if you don't eat out a woman, you're like I don't know.
Well, yeah, if you're like not willing to do that, it's considered like a shitty thing as a man. If they're willing to and you're not, then yeah. But of course, it's possible for a human being to eat out a woman, but also say horrible things about women.
Right. Okay.
Yes, but that's his rap, isn't it? He's basically like demeaning them and being misogynist. So yeah, that's kind of what the green thing was to me. Okay, you know, it was like hope somehow.
Because in Pedro's story, Pedro Pascal's story,
Pedro,
someone that he's basically like an enforcer, right? He goes around and beats people up to get money for Ben Mendelsohn, and the child of someone that he killed while he was doing the job, because he's now retired, but that person is now grown up, and they've used the green stuff to track him down, and kill his pregnant wife or girlfriend
accidentally.
They were aiming for him, but they killed her instead. But then at the end of the story, he kind of deliberately doesn't identify him to the police, so he gets away with it.
Yeah. He lets him go. He realizes that, like, violence begets violence. I can't
Yeah.
actually hate the guy because of all the shit I've done. And all
That was kind of the one part of the film where I was like, okay, I kind of like this, because it felt like I said, the first two, it just felt like, oh, we're using it for our own game. But then when they kind of flip it and it's someone else in Pedro Pascal's story that's using it, I thought, oh, cool. Like, they're going to be showing, like, all of the different angles of this
doing
thing.
as many things with it as they can.
Yeah. But then in the final story, they just go back to, oh, the guy uses it just to kill a bunch of Nazis.
Thinking about it now, there's kind of a bit of Pulp Fiction in there as well, isn't it? Like California anthology. Pulp Fiction isn't anthological, but different character perspectives, and then moving around in time, and then they come back into each other. Yeah, so Tarantino's definitely in there.
Yeah.
But yeah, as ever, we have the anthology problem. And yeah, the stories are interconnected, but never to a satisfying end.
No.
But because they're interconnected, that does somewhat reduce the hit or miss factor,
Okay.
Because you can go, it's one story, basically. Not by much.
No.
But it does somewhat reduce it. Like, it's not terrible, right?
Okay.
It's not great. It won't stick. That's the takeaway. It won't stick.
I just remember, like, just really not enjoying it.
Yeah, I didn't have that experience.
Okay. I think it was just, like... Yeah, part
And that
of it...
for the 80s?
Definitely that.
Yeah.
Definitely just, like, why even bother at this point? Because it's not even, like, doing 80s nostalgia in an original way anymore.
No.
But it was definitely partially that. And it was definitely partially that, yeah, like, the story... Like, okay, we're doing a new story. All right, I'm not, like, enjoying it that much. Okay, I'm starting to get into... Oh, we've moved on to the next story now.
Yeah, but
So I kept having to reset constantly.
That's the anthology.
No,
One
it
of the
is.
anthology
But
problems,
I think it's just the combination of that and the tie.
Yeah.
Like, just a combination of a few things the film was doing that aren't particularly original.
Yeah.
They were just compounding on each other.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't enjoy it. To me, it was just a completely middle of the road indie sci-fi passion project thing.
Yeah.
That didn't land with me. Do you know what I mean? Like, it was just kind of a nothing ultimately. I can't say I disliked it. It just didn't do anything for me.
Okay. Certainly didn't do anything for me. But
No.
I seem to have
You disliked it
reacted
more
more
than
negatively
I did.
to that
Yes.
than you have. Yeah.
So I guess we wouldn't recommend it.
No, I certainly wouldn't.
Okay. Havoc. What's this one about?
You seen The Raid?
Yeah.
You seen The Raid 2?
Uh-huh.
Watch them again.
Instead, crucially.
Instead of this. This is Gareth Evans' return to action films.
Yep.
In the wake of The Raid 2, which was back in 2014. Fucking hell.
I think he's had one film since then, which was Apostle.
Okay.
I think that's the only one. I could be wrong.
Okay. Yeah, he's done an action film again, but this time it's not using the same people as The Raid, I think.
No, it's an English language.
Yeah, it's English language.
Tom Hardy.
It was filmed in Wales, but it's set in the city.
Yeah, America.
Yeah. Like Gotham-y kind of...
Like Chicago-Delphia.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Which came as great disappointment.
New Chicago-Delphia.
The new Chicago-Delphia. Which came as great disappointment to my father, who was looking forward to watching this. I think he just liked the idea of seeing an action film. Like
locations you might recognise.
Yeah, I mean, you watched Doctor Who when you were a lot older.
I was going to just say, like the episode that was on today, it's opposite spoons.
Oh yeah, there's definitely that. But like when you're a kid and you're watching Doctor Who and you're like, oh my god, that's where we go shopping.
Yes.
Oh my god, that's Ponty. Oh my god, that's this place.
Yes. Gavin and Stacey. Oh my god, that's Bowlplex.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, Gavin and Stacey as well.
Yeah,
I suppose would be a better example for you because I think you did watch that at the time, didn't you? Yeah, just like seeing that in like a big action film had that kind of like pang of recognition. I think he was looking forward to that and was let down by the fact that the whole city seems like it's just digitally enhanced to have no real identity whatsoever.
Oh yeah, but like doesn't that take away from the thing for you when you recognise the place? Because like that's Bowlplex. Like I enjoy seeing it on screen, but also like that's not Billericay.
No, it's okay. Yeah, it does. But because Gareth Evans is Welsh,
yes,
and because I sort of have an expectation for his films going in now, in the wake of The Raid and The Raid 2, I just like the idea of him, like, now that he's got that out of the way, and he's, like, returning to his homeland, he's, like, properly doing something...
Right.
Like The Raid, but in Wales, you know?
Okay. But, but an American film.
But basically. An American film, yeah.
Yes.
But we don't really get that. We just get this basically just generic action film.
Yes.
Action, revenge, conspiracy,
noir.
gang, noir film.
Yeah.
With a couple, and I emphasize a couple of action sequences in it. Because it really does feel like they've there's nowhere near as much action in this.
It's an action film, right? But that's the thing. I think the problem is our generation has been raised, and it's something I don't like, actually.
Okay.
Thinking that The Raid... I'm not saying The Raid was like a major commercial, but The Raid is an action film. Now, The Raid is obviously a balls-out action film.
Yeah.
But we now want action to be... Oh, that's all it is. It's just like choreographed fight scenes and... I mean, I love The Raid.
Yeah.
But I also like 90s action films, say like a Cliffhanger, where it's an action film, but it's broken up by just scenes of people talking and plot.
Rebel Ridge.
Character. Or Rebel Ridge. Yeah, it doesn't all...
It just felt like a throwback to the back to the 90s film.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be balls to the wall. It's all one car chase. Do you know what I mean?
I agree with you.
Yes.
But this is Gareth Evans.
No, totally agree.
Yeah.
Totally agree. But for me, like, one of the things I would say about it is, if you just want an action film, it does give you that. But I got, from what you were saying, you were implying the opposite. That there's only, like, a couple of action scenes.
Well, I mean, I do feel like, the amount of action in these films is decreasing. Like, The Raid, as you say, it's basically wall-to-wall. It's kind of like Fury Road in that respect.
It's just kind of one action scene.
Yeah, it just keeps going.
Yeah.
Then The Raid, there was a bit of an introduction of, like, story components. The Raid 2, sorry. There was an introduction of, like, these story components.
Yeah, he was trying to do his Godfather meets The Raid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you can tell that the action was compensating for the fact that it was being more broken up. So there's more... comic-y, kind of more intense action sequences in there. To the point where, and this is what I've kind of always liked about The Raid 2, is that the action and the violence in that film is so extreme.
Yes.
It's funny. I find it funny. Because of the sheer brutality of it. That's just how, like, the energy...
It's cathartic.
That builds up in you leaves my body.
It's the kind of violence that it's not nasty, that when it happens you go...
Yeah.
Yeah, it's fun. It kind of knows it's fun.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know if I'd say funny, but I take your point.
Yeah.
It's more just like, whoa!
Yes.
Yeah, it's that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then in this one, we get fewer action scenes again, and we get more in-betweeny stuff.
Yes.
And the in-betweeny stuff is just not that interesting.
Well, that was my one problem with The Raid 2. The action scenes are amazing.
Yeah.
But I don't think I will ever again sit down to watch The Raid 2. I'll watch the action scenes again. I will never watch the film again.
I think I would, just because I think there are enough action scenes in The Raid 2 where you're not going to be left waiting for too long.
No, fine. I get that. But I would skip to the action scenes.
Okay, that's fine.
Yeah.
But I think this film, The Havoc. The Havoc? Havoc.
Oh, don't get me wrong. This is not a good film.
No,
it's much worse than The Raid 2.
This is textbook. You just watch the action scenes on YouTube.
Yeah.
And even then, don't watch all of them, because the first action sequence is a car chase, which I think is mostly CGI.
I think you're right.
And that was a massive disappointment, especially. And I know when we're talking about this film, we're going to bring up The Raid and The Raid 2 a lot.
Of course.
I think that's totally fair.
Well, if you start with those films,
guy,
yes, it's fair. Yeah.
Yeah. But The Raid 2 has a mostly practical, maybe even entirely practical car chase action sequence, and it's amazing.
It's very good.
So for the opening of this film to be a CGI car chase,
yes,
that felt like a real, like, oh no.
Yeah, but, I mean, I don't know how old he is now, but maybe he's a bit older, and like the vitality is kind of like, I don't need to be doing that. I just want to be comfortable and just like make films easily. I don't need to be Christopher Nolan.
Well, then go make another Apostle.
I'm not saying it's fair.
If you're not willing to, I'm not saying this is the case, but if you're not willing to put in the effort to make something on the level of The Raid or Raid 2, just don't bother making action films.
Yeah, of course.
Because that's... Maybe you'll never make a film as good as the first Raid, and that's fine, but this is the expectation you've set for people.
Well, because he's behind Gangs of London as well, isn't he? Now, I don't know like whether he writes or has written for that or how much he's directed, but it's like a Gareth Evans show, right?
Okay.
I don't watch it, but that show is this, I think. It's kind of Guy Ritchie meets The Raid, which is, it's warring gangs, but with these big action scenes.
Yeah.
I think that's obviously what he wants to do. Like, The Raid is what he could do at the time. Die Hard, kind of, but martial arts Die Hard, not as well written or anything, but, certainly better fight scenes. Going off The Raid 2, and now this, and Gangs of London, I think he wants to do, like, kind of what he would consider a crime epic.
Okay.
With, like, great action scenes. So, yeah, like, the fact that this is, like, it starts as a noir detective story. An uncomfortable blend of that and balls-out action, I would say. But yeah, so the opening line of the film, and its narration no less, is, you live in this world, you make choices. So we're off to a not great start, aren't we?
Yeah.
It's riddled with cliches. The hard-boiled, morally compromised detective, the rookie cop, the corrupt mayor who literally screams, "This is my town!"
Yeah.
The writing is what you might expect from Gareth Evans. It's never been his strong suit.
No.
Let's face it. I think I noticed it more because he's Welsh. I want us to be well represented.
Yeah.
But it's not no worse than your average action movie, But it's typical warring faction gangland stuff. Like I said, like Gangs of London, I imagine, because I don't watch it. Upbeating scenes, which we've talked about before. It has some of those raid-style fight sequences, but with nowhere near as much finesse. It's just been done now, hasn't it?
I think as well you can tell, at least I don't know if you felt this way, it's the impression that I got. The people that they're fighting, because these action sequences, like Tom Hardy, Timothy Olyphant, they take part in them. And you can tell that the people they're fighting are doing a lot of the heavy lifting.
The heavy lifting, yeah, absolutely.
Like Tom Hardy will do maybe like 1 or 2 moves in a shot.
Yes.
And then you've got the people that they're fighting doing all these like insane things.
Well, that's like the raid, again, the writing and the acting are not the reasons you watch it.
No.
And there are clearly people in the raid that were hired to act. And again, they're not great. But like the older actors, like, the slimy kind of corrupt guy on the team, the main villain, they're not there to fight, they're there to act. And so when they have to be in fight scenes, I always remember the bit in the raid where like Iko Uwais is doing some badass thing and the camera swivels over to the older guy, the grizzled, like, grey guy.
Yeah.
And he's just, like, whacking a guy on the back just with his, like, closed fists. Because that's what, you don't hire him for that.
Yeah.
So, yeah, Tom Hardy's, like, he probably, like, does as much as he can. But, yeah, it's like, okay, we can't expect him to be proficient in martial arts, so we'll have to devise things around him.
Yes.
But, yeah, it's just been done. And not just in Gareth Evans' own work, but from other filmmakers in the intervening years. Like, The Raid was, I think, a pretty influential film, actually.
I think so, yeah.
And, we also have the same insane rates of gunfire, insane bullet impacts.
Oh, it's so funny that, like, just a standard pistol in Gareth Evans' world is the most devastating thing in ever.
And I think I watched the pilot of Gangs of London, or the first 2 episodes, and that was definitely a thing.
Okay.
CG gunfire.
Okay.
And people getting hit like 20,000 times.
Yeah.
Digital blood, which again, we're not fans of. Insane overkill. Crims materializing with insane frequency.
Yes.
Now that's fine. That's that comes from old martial arts movies. That's a staple of the genre. Just like constantly, what's the video game term?
Spawning.
Just spawning villains constantly. In an early action set piece, a couple of guys in that car chase, they throw a washing machine from the back of a truck.
Yes.
Bullshit. You tried lifting a washing machine?
Yeah.
It's also what you might expect from Tom Hardy. Here, he plays Tom Hardy without Tom Hardy doing an American accent. It's always the same one, Revenant notwithstanding. I'd say it wastes Forrest Whitaker, but Forrest Whitaker's kind of been wasting his own talents, really. It does waste Timothy Olyphant.
Yeah, I was expecting more from him.
It's a shame.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a shame. The film is set at Christmas, presumably to capture some of that Die Hard magic. It doesn't.
Do you think this was once intended to be released around Christmas?
Maybe. Because, I think this has been forthcoming for a long time.
I would go as far as to say the principal photography, I think, was, if not pre-COVID, then not long after we came out of COVID. Yeah.
And it was announced a long time ago, I think.
Oh, it's been in my letterboxd for, like, a couple of years at this point, like, waiting for it.
Yeah. I did like the last line. So the construct of the film is the film as you might expect, he doesn't talk with his wife and kid very much.
No.
But he loves his daughter. And he gets her a Christmas gift. And he wants to get it to her.
Yeah.
And then the film happens.
He just buys, like, a bunch of crap from a local convenience store because it's, like, he's got no time to actually...
convenient. Yeah. And then at the end, like, he's dying. And the rookie cop says, make sure your daughter gets the presents. He's like, I wouldn't want to ruin her Christmas. I thought that was a good, final line. You know what I mean? I didn't really bother following it closely. Not that it's complicated.
No.
Just, I found it a bit boring, the story, and I just didn't care. If you just want an action film with zero substance, it is that.
Okay.
It is an action film, Again, it's not Fury Road, it's not The Raid. But if all you want is action and you don't want to think, fine. It is that.
Yeah, it is that. I think just because the balance has been changed that little bit more. Mm-hmm. It's certainly more dull than The Raid 2, I think, even though I think tonally the Raid 2 was pretty similar in terms of like the type of story it was telling.
Yeah.
But I think just because there was more action in that. And maybe because it was foreign language as well, so there's that distance. Yeah, this one feels a lot more dull, even though I'd say like both the action and the story are kind of on equal tone.
No, it does. I mean, all I could go off is I think my grandfather would enjoy it.
Okay.
Do you know what I mean? Not like a cineast, just like I want an action film.
Yeah.
It is that.
It is that.
So on that level, I'd recommend it, but on no other level do I recommend it.
Yeah. I just like look up the action scenes on YouTube. That would be my recommendation.
Okay, Locked. Explain.
Bill Skarsgård is down on his luck. And he's poor, and he's got a daughter who he loves, but a wife he doesn't speak to.
Yep.
And he goes to steal a car. Oh no, he doesn't go to steal a car. There's a car that isn't locked.
Yes.
Yeah. So he goes into the car.
Should be called Unlocked.
Yes, it should. He gets into the car, sees there's nothing worth stealing, and he's like, all right, I'm not going to steal anything. But he can't get out, because the car, get this,
is locked.
And then Anthony Hopkins rings, and he's like, oh, you trying to steal my car, are you?
Yeah, he's not. He's doing his normal accent.
Yeah. And the whole film is that. Bill Skarsgård is locked in the car, and Anthony Hopkins is like, I don't like you.
Well, Anthony Hopkins has kind of set this up.
Yeah.
He's left the car, it's like a big SUV sort of thing. He's left it unlocked because he's been robbed like 6 or 7 times in the last couple of years. Yeah. He's fucking fed up with it. So now he's going to subject the next robber to torture, basically. Yes. So it's got like a Hitchcockian aspect, and I'm purely on the page. In that, that bottle thriller, it's kind of just set in the car, that sort of thing. Phone booth is my go-to comparison for these things, with a villain on the other end of the phone. We had Carry On last year that was similar. Yeah. But we do leave the car early on, as in the camera leaves the car early on, when it gets too claustrophobic. And it's not too long before we start going on joyrides. Now, the character doesn't leave the car, but the audience does. That's the key thing. Yeah, I don't know how I feel about the joyrides, because I understand it. Like, you're in a location that can physically move, so why not use that? But you're not. Like it's only through contrivance that it can, because he's rigged it to be able to drive.
And I suppose that's fair enough. But
my point being, the setup implies a claustrophobic thriller.
Yeah.
And leaving breaks those rules.
Well, I think there's a couple of instances where they do it where it's okay. I think fairly early on, someone parks next to him, and so he's banging on the window, screaming like, "Let me out! Help!" And you see the woman outside approaching the window, but then the camera goes outside, and you see that it's like tinted glass, and the car is soundproof, so she doesn't know he's in there. She's just like checking her makeup.
I mean, it depends how pure you want to be, doesn't it? Like,
I think it's fine. I think that instance is fine because it's conveying a piece of information that's important to the audience.
But at the compromise of its own conceit.
Yes.
It depends what you want to prioritize, right?
Yeah.
Like, if I was making this film and the whole thing is, when it's in the car, it's in the car.
Yeah.
I would just have him figure that out. Like, she walks up, does her lipstick, he's like, what the fuck? What's going on?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I wouldn't leave the car because that's breaking the rule. But anyway, premises like this, they have a built-in curiosity, where's it going to go? Even if you've seen it all before, and you have, it has the same structure, the same beats, the same emotional stakes, the same morality play, so that curiosity very much fizzles out. It's not visually inventive, or particularly clever, or tense. A day passes in the blink of an eye very early on.
Yeah.
When things should be moment by moment, and his phone battery somehow lasts for several days.
Yes,
it's not a thing.
Yeah,
I found him, Eddie, very unlikable.
Skarsgård. Yeah.
The fact that he's nice to a dog early on does nothing to diminish that, because it's such a hackneyed caveat.
Well, it's so funny, isn't it? Because you want to. Because was it House of Cards that began with Kevin Spacey killing a dog?
Mercy killing a dog.
Killing a dog, okay. But that's an effective way of conveying character, because what kind of monster kills a dog?
Yeah, he's pragmatic. It's like, this dog will suffer, it's got to die,
but also there's that component to it as well, where it's like, oh shit, he's willing to do that, but also I can see why.
Absolutely.
Whereas with this, it's like, oh, see, he's a good person because he's nice to a dog.
Exactly.
But it's like, but everyone's nice to dogs.
Exactly.
It's notable when people aren't nice to dogs. That's why we show the opposite.
Exactly. Yeah. But it's manipulative as well, isn't it? Yeah. It's like, no, you're not getting me like that. Yeah. Not happening. when he pleads for food and water, like after a day or two, he also pleads for a joint. It's half a joke, but you want me to like this guy? He's a bit of a waster. Do you know what I mean? Like, he's in this car. He's like got all the tattoos, and he doesn't pay child support. And he's like, oh man, you got a joint? Like, who is this douchebag?
Right.
As William, the Hopkins character, he uses his natural accent. He says, I'm from an industrial town in South Wales. Just Port Talbot, obviously.
Yeah, do you think, like, they were like, oh, we won't say Port Talbot because people won't, like, know?
Yeah, too weird.
Yeah.
But he even says, like, you probably haven't heard of South Wales, have you? But, yeah. And he just does the Anthony Hopkins thing for the film.
It reminded me a little bit of Transformers.
Oh, yeah. I think The Last Night is the
one.
The
Last Night, I was going to say Rise of the Night, but I couldn't remember the name of it. But yeah, it's
Dawn of the Rise of the...
of the Revenge of the Night. The one that he was in, the fifth one, where it felt like they brought him into it so that they had someone that could act, but he was just
they always
like,
do that.
Yeah, but he was just like, I'm just doing whatever the fuck I want.
Yeah, just having fun. But he called Michael Bay a genius, didn't he? So what I don't know, maybe it's because he got to just do whatever he wanted.
Yeah, pretty much.
Oh, I love this.
Yeah, I'll do more of this, shall I?
So here was the central problem for me. I rooted for William.
Okay.
We accepted as a given that he should just turn the guy into the police, right? That's a given. But beyond that, in the world of movie ethics, right? When we see a guy taking revenge in the film, we're with him for the most part, aren't we? Because it's movie ethics. So I was waiting for the moment that the character became unsympathetic, and he never really did.
Right. Do you think that's you, or do you think that's the film?
It's me.
I do feel like the film is making an effort for you to not sympathise.
It's me.
With William.
The film wants you to sympathise with Eddie, and okay, so there's the typical banter between hero and villain, right? But then when Eddie starts talking about crime and punishment early on, he's like, the film lost me there, right? Because he's like, what? Because the big thing of the film is, oh, I've got street smarts and you're just smart. He's like, oh, what? Because I have street smarts, like I can't read, bitch. That's basically what it is.
Right.
But come on, crime and punishment. You're doing a morality play about the ethics. Don't invoke crime and punishment, for God's sake. It's just such a boring cliche. Great book, but like everyone's done it.
Yeah.
And the two clash over politics and privilege and all that. Eddie is one of your pro-Luigi Mangione types.
Okay.
Right? He literally tells William, you deserve to be robbed. Right? For his part, William rails against the worldview of young people and the ineffectual policies of state governors that just give criminals a slap on the wrist instead of prosecuting. Yeah, I'm with William. Like, like there are loads, like, I don't know about all of California, but there are cities where they just, if you nick something from a shop, they just don't bother prosecuting you. Because, it's too much crime going on. We won't bother with the low-level things. And, like, in, I think, what's the shop? It's like their Boots. I can't remember the name of it now. But where they have to lock up just basic things behind shutters.
Okay.
Yeah, that's basically what he's saying is like, oh, I live in a blue state. It's fucking crime everywhere. I've been robbed all these times. My daughter got killed, I think.
Maybe, yeah.
By like a drug addict or something like that. Yeah. And you want me to dislike the guy? I know that they're trying to do like, oh, the villain has they have a point. They've twisted it. The Thanos thing, like, oh, there's a point.
Yeah, but then they also start throwing in like when Eddie's getting mad, Hopkins will just start going, oh, have I triggered you? Are you triggered?
Yeah, that's the thing that you're meant to go, oh, I don't like him now. But not me.
That's the thing, isn't it? They've thrown all these little things in, just like, oh, anything that makes him unlikable. Oh, he's right wing. Oh, he does this. He does it. Yeah, he kills people during the film.
Yes.
Because when he takes control of the car, he like runs people over.
Gangsters. Gangbangers.
Yeah, gangbangers. Yeah. But then he does threaten to and actively chase Bill Skarsgård's daughter down the street.
No, he does. Yeah. Don't get me wrong. But it's just like, it's movie ethics. So it's like...
It's movie ethics, but it's also the writers going...
Yes.
Like, right, how do we make this guy unsympathetic?
Right, exactly. Because in another film... He's your hero. He's a Clint Eastwood who's had enough of people robbing his fucking car, Yeah,
Death Wish, like those kind of films. Death Wish. Are full of those types of
Gran Torino, Gran Torino was sort of a rebuttal to but still, like, that was a more sophisticated film.
Yeah.
But no, in another film, he's the hero. I'm sure most young folk and lefties, they'll be on Eddie's side. But I think just making it political in the first place was a silly move. It didn't have to be, I did not care for this film.
Okay.
And I would not recommend it.
Right. Okay.
What about you?
Well, there's certainly no reason to go back to it now that I've seen it.
No.
Is there any reason to recommend it to people who haven't seen it? I guess not. Because it's not the most interesting location. Or at the very least, they don't do the most interesting things with it.
No.
Because when Eddie's trying to like rummage through the car to find like a circuit to short or whatever, Anthony Hopkins has tasers built into the seat, so he electrocutes him, and that's it.
Yeah,
like he'll talk to Skarsgård, and Skarsgård will say something he doesn't like, and he'll just tase him.
Yeah,
and that's most of the film. I think at one point he turns the temperature way down and turns the temperature way up.
It's because it's all they've got, short of like a gun like lowering from the ceiling.
Yeah,
kind of,
and that changes the type of film it is, but also why not?
I mean, if you're going to do this...
Oh, I've proper, like, Thunderbirds my car up.
Well, if you do this, you either do it, he's Thunderbirded it up, or you just strip it all the way down, which is what I would have done, which is, he doesn't have gadgets and gizmos, it's just a guy locked in the car, he can speak to him and see him, and that's it.
Okay.
But, I didn't like it at all.
Yeah.
Really.
Yeah, I was expecting more from it. I don't actually know why, in retrospect.
The premise, probably. It's
just the premise, and like Skarsgård, he's done some rough things, but he's also done all right. And Hopkins has like done some good things. But then again, whenever Skarsgård plays himself, or at least he's like he looks like a person in the film, that's usually when he's at his weakest.
He needs to be an evil clown.
Yeah. Or Nosferatu.
Yeah, exactly, like a beast.
Yeah.
Okay, that's that then.
Yeah.
Daredevil Born Again. What is this?
Daredevil on Netflix happened a while ago.
Yes.
The MCU, determined to swallow everything in its wake, has now decided that Daredevil was part of the MCU all along. And so this is effectively...
Because people like that.
Because people like that, yeah. It's genius or something. So this is effectively season 4 of Daredevil. Basically. It would probably have helped if I'd watched... Well, firstly, if I'd finished Daredevil at all, but certainly rewatched like some of the earliest stuff.
After season 1, you needn't.
Okay, then.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know, because it does feel like things follow on from previous seasons, so it's like... It took me a while to like get a sense of where we were.
Yes.
But frustratingly, the show also takes this opportunity to do like a complete across-the-board reset. So very quickly, it kills off one of the main supporting characters from Foggy. I was not going to spoil it, but okay. From the first,
it's like the first thing.
Yeah, it's the first thing you see. Yeah, from the first Daredevil show, Foggy dies. Karen, is too traumatized by that to stick around, so she leaves
for a while.
And Fisk is like in the first episode becomes the mayor of New York. So they've basically completely shifted the status quo of everything. Born again.
Yes.
Yeah. Which, like, okay.
I would have been more
continuing
interested.
it, but we're also effectively rebooting it. So
I'd have been more interested in the film in a show where it's just Matt Murdock becoming a born again Christian.
Okay,
that's all it is.
Rather than a born again Daredevil.
Yes,
but it's frustrating because on the one hand, I felt like I was completely out of the loop, but on the other hand, I felt like if I was in the loop, it would have been pointless because they've kind of undone everything.
Yeah, it's a soft reboot.
Yeah.
So returning to Daredevil, it didn't feel like a reacquaintance. It was just. Oh, yeah, okay, I guess there's more of this now.
Okay.
Very early on, there's CG, including character movements.
Yeah.
Which made me like it less than the original series out of the gate.
Yeah, it's a rough start, because I've seen maybe the first season, maybe not even the whole of the first season, but I've seen that fight sequence that everyone talks about in the first season.
Really, Daredevil is like the first 2 episodes.
Okay.
The first season's is like decent, but the first 2 episodes are very good.
Yeah.
And that's sort of all you need to see,
He doesn't, like, crush the guy's head in the second episode, though.
No, that's later. Like I said, there were good things in it.
Yeah.
But the first 2, I think, are certainly written. I don't know about directed by, I think it's Drew... Goddard.
Yeah.
It's just like, that's the stuff that you should watch,
Okay.
Yes.
But yeah, I know that fight sequence. Everyone knows that fight sequence. And so Marvel, I think, in a bid to endear themselves to us, decided that they were going to do a fight in the vein of that sequence at the very opening of the show. But they CG'd a lot of it. And they put like all this smoke and stuff in front so you can't see the choreography. And it's done as a fake one where the cuts are like really obvious.
Yeah, that's how it begins, with a long take gimmick. And the original's famous for that one, like you said. But that was real.
Was it real?
No, the first one, I mean.
Oh, yeah, I was going to say,
Yeah. No, the first one was real.
Like, no, and I remember 2013, right?
15.
I remember that being such a breath of fresh air. Seeing a guy, like seeing a superhero get tired while they're fighting.
Because he is just a guy, you know? Like, and I don't know if any tricks went into that, hidden cuts or anything like that. But it certainly seemed authentic.
Yeah.
Which you cannot say about this new one, And the pilot in general, the direction is like misshapen. The choreography is inelegant. It felt like a recapitulation of the Safdie style in some ways.
Okay.
Like, not that frantic pace, but the zooms and the framing. Yeah, there are parts that, like, with the cameras across the street, but, like, the zoom is at a certain... It made me think of the Safdie films.
Okay.
But this is bad. The opening credits are boring, especially in comparison to its predecessor. I wasn't a fan of the Vox Pops at all. They keep doing these Vox Pops in this season.
Yeah.
Because, Fisk is running for mayor. It's just like talking to people on the street. Like,
I appreciate the intent of it, because it's you can tell that it's trying to make New York and the people in New York a character.
like Raimi Spider-Man things. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's nice because Marvel haven't really attempted to do stuff like that for quite a while.
No.
So I appreciate the intent, but yeah, the execution of it, not so much.
No. There's some social justice-y homelessness messaging, and Wilson Fisk running for mayor is clearly a Trump allegory. Another one.
I was going to say, aren't they all?
Yeah. And another one. There are some positives to highlight.
Okay.
Vincent D'Onofrio remains the best thing about it, even if he's not exemplary. There are a couple of decent fight scenes, like him and what's the villain in this season? The serial killer guy.
Oh,
Mute or something?
Mime? Not Mime. Muse.
Muse, yeah, him. Yeah. And while he doesn't amaze, I'm glad that Michael Gandolfini, like Cooper Hoffman, is still acting.
Yes.
Like, they both debuted in things where their casting had a logic. It was like legacy casting of a different mold.
Yeah.
So, like, Pete Jansen worked with Philip Seymour Hoffman a lot, so he cast his son in Licorice Pizza.
Yeah.
And then Michael Gandolfini played a young Tony Soprano in Many Saints in Newark. But they both seem to have committed to it as careers now, to acting. So that's nice. There's a self-contained bank robbery episode, and besides the Ms. Marvel tie-in that we get, I thought that was quite strong. Like, it was certainly the best of the season.
Yeah, well, it felt like Daredevil was kind of in his element there, because his supersonic hearing,
yes,
he could use that to his advantage. Like, he could crack the vault and he could keep track of everyone, and it felt like a proper use of his ability.
I don't think it's supersonic hearing, because that would be hearing faster than sound.
Yes, forgive me.
I just find that funny.
Yeah, how do you describe it?
Just like heightened, isn't it? Just like
heightened hearing. Yeah. Oh, I can hear so quickly.
I can hear before you say it. Yeah.
Yeah, it felt like a proper application of his abilities. Because, again, they try and, like, visualize those abilities in a couple of episodes. And I don't know if this was consistent with the original Daredevil. I think before that action sequence in the first episode, they kind of fiddle with the aspect ratio.
Yeah.
And do, like, a Hitchcock zoom to kind of show that he's listening. Which is fine, but then it's not applied consistently across the show.
My memory of the original is probably just like a close-up of his ear.
Yeah.
And him just kind of like close-up of his eyes as he's like looking around.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
whereas it felt like that was a good integration of like the pacing of the episode wasn't derailed by them trying to show off, you know?
And it was self-contained, you know?
And it was self-contained.
And it was good, despite the fact that's another project of ours unwittingly partially pilfered.
Yeah.
And we won't go into it, but because it's too insider, but yeah, like the different colour masks taking place on a holiday, like even a red-headed thug.
Yeah.
We won't go into it.
No.
As the show progressed, the aesthetic settled into something more agreeable, certainly than the pilot, certainly. It went from being something I actively disliked to something okay. Like, at times, good.
Right.
I would say.
Okay.
But the biggest issue of the season for me, indicated off the bat with that ugly one-shot, is that it's straining too hard for credibility. So the original series has a reputation for being gritty, you know, at least within a Marvel context. So they really wanted to capture that again, but it felt hollow here. And slapping Nick Cave, TV on the radio, and the Vines on the soundtrack will not save you, like the dog in Locked. And in the finale, they use Radiohead's Everything in Its Right Place, which was the final nail in the coffin.
Okay.
And then another greatest hit, Fisk mushes a man's head.
Yes.
Because they did that before too.
Yeah, I mean, that's the problem, isn't it? Like, I think everyone at this point is complaining that, like, I don't really know what the MCU is, or what it wants, or what it's doing, or what I'm supposed to think about it. This does feel like the MCU playing dress up a little bit. I don't know if this is indicative of the direction they're going to go in going forward. I know D'Onofrio has said that for licensing reasons, we're never going to see Fisk outside of TV shows.
I've heard that, yeah. Don't care.
And I know that Deadpool was pretty cavalier with its swearing and all that kind of stuff. Because
news today that he's trying to do a Deadpool X-Men link-up movie.
Oh, fun. Okay. Yeah. But yeah, so I don't know if like the MCU is going to go in a more mature direction in general.
Yeah.
or whether this is just, oh, Daredevil was all of these things, so let's be Daredevil.
Yeah.
Because that's the thing. Like, you bring Deadpool over, a lot of people love Deadpool, don't fuck it up.
Mm-hmm.
You're gonna continue Daredevil. A lot of people like Daredevil.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of credibility surrounding Daredevil. A lot of legitimacy around that show. You can't fuck it up. And so, yeah, they've really leaned into, like you said, let's do the greatest hits.
Yes.
Let's have it be gritty. Let's have the swearing. Let's do a one-er. Let's have Frisk, like, mush a guy.
This time, though, it really does feel like MCU, doesn't it? It feels like an MCU TV show, whereas the original one doesn't.
No, yeah.
It just feels like a kind of gritty, like, you don't think of it really as a Marvel thing, you know?
Well, you
Like,
do and you don't.
Okay, not an
That
MCU
first-
thing.
yeah.
Like, not an MCU thing, because it wasn't. But it's like a properly shot show.
Yeah.
Yeah, now this just feels like another... They all have this character to them of just production line. It's another node, you know, it's just
Yeah.
another, like, they all kind of feel the same. They're all doing the same sort of thing, you know. And this is more of that. It's there were parts of it that were better
Yeah.
than other parts.
Yeah, I agree with you. I did like the bank robbery episode, and there
Yeah.
were bits of it that I liked or thought were okay. I do think that first episode did a lot of damage for me.
Yeah.
I don't know if it ever really recovered from that,
Okay.
because it wasn't like it's not like, oh, I hated it like the whole way through after that. But yeah, how artificial that fight sequence was, and the fact that when Daredevil realizes Foggy is dead, he's got Bullseye up on the roof, and he just chucks him off the roof.
Yes.
And he just like hits the ground. And I thought, oh, cool, okay, that's like a really bold
Right.
opening to it. Like, a hero kills a guy.
Right.
And that would have added a lot of credibility to Fisk's platform later in the show, where he's like, vigilantes are dangerous. Look, this Daredevil killed a guy. But then Bullseye just survives.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, don't throw a guy off the roof and then have him live, and don't do that.
I honestly the main problem with the beginning, other than worse than its ugliness, is like I haven't settled back into the show yet.
Yeah.
And there's major dramatic things happening. Like, yeah, they kill Foggy. He throws Bullseye off the roof. It's like, I know what they were trying to do. Like, yeah, fucking, it's back.
Yeah.
No, you can't. That's not how that works.
Yeah.
You know? But I would sooner that it started bad and got better than the other way around. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I'll give it some credit for that.
Okay.
The verdict, not awful, not great.
No.
You know?
It wasn't-
I wouldn't recommend it to anyone, though.
No, it didn't feel like much of a legal show either.
Oh, it's definitely not that.
And I don't know if the original Daredevil was much of a legal show.
Not really.
But just like the third and fourth or whatever episode it is where he's defending White Tiger, and like the strategy he chooses to take in court is just to out this guy as a vigilante.
Right.
It's like, I know you're desperate, but I don't think that's the kind of call a good lawyer would make. You know,
Yeah.
that feels like really, and you're also coming from a point where this guy is a vigilante himself, so he would kind of understand.
Uncle Tom.
Not just that, like he is in a perfect position to understand the devastation.
Captain Tom.
Captain Tom, yeah, that could come with being outed, like having that taken out of your control. So yeah, there are things that I liked about it, the things I didn't like about it. Ultimately, I'm not mad I watched it.
No, I'm gonna forget it.
Yeah.
And there's nothing to really recommend to people, I don't think.
Okay.
A Minecraft movie.
Minecraft.
Is that what it is?
Well, there's two ways you can take it. Either Minecraft
Yeah.
or Minecraft.
But not Minecraft.
No. I decided.
Minecraft sounds like the sequel to Mein Kampf.
Yes.
Minecraft movie.
Yeah.
I will continue calling it Minecraft because you're not my god.
Oh.
What's this about?
Jack Black, as a child, yearned for the mines. And then one day he ends up in the Minecraft. In the world of Minecraft.
Yeah.
I didn't intend to say Minecraft, but I'm going to be stuck saying Minecraft now. Okay. Yeah, he ends up in the Minecraft world. There you go, Minecraft world.
Yeah.
Where he discovers an orb that's actually a cube, because, haha, Minecraft. Everything's square. This orb allows you to travel between worlds, and there are these evil pig people that want it. So he sends the orb into the real world, and then many years later, Jason Momoa is washed up, so he's starring in a Minecraft movie, and he brings the orb and some kids into the Minecraft world.
Also because he's Aquaman.
Yeah, how's that work?
Washed up.
Oh, wonderful. Lovely. This is why we work well together. They come into the Minecraft world and the pigs want the orb, and then an action movie happens.
Yeah, and obviously based on Minecraft.
Well,
Say based. You can't base a film on Minecraft.
no, the world that they occupy looks like Minecraft.
Yeah.
And there are lots of Minecraft references for people that are really into
Oh,
Minecraft.
yes, there are. Aren't
Yeah.
there? So it's directed by Jared Hess, most famous from the Napoleon Dynamite. The real world preamble in this tries to capture some of that small town potato chip factory kookiness of Dynamite.
Yeah.
It fails.
Oh.
Jack Black has that voice, that face.
Yeah.
He sings. There are at least 4 numbers he performs, I think.
Okay.
He's getting old.
Yeah.
It's getting old. I don't think he's a sellout for doing this. Like, I often disagree with those assessments. But he is incredibly annoying. He's on without end. Every single line delivery is heightened.
Yeah, it's like every line he delivers it in the most Jack Black way possible.
Every line is that Jack Black delivery.
Yeah,
You know, that kind of
there's
thing.
no balance to it. There's no normalcy.
It might be the worst lead performance of the year so far, I think.
Well, it's because it's a lot.
Yes.
You know, I think if you talk normally just like once or twice, it would go a long way. But
Yeah.
it's like the whole film.
Constant.
Like, all right, be Jack Black right now.
Yeah.
I think I said before, and I can't remember what I said it about, like in terms of Jack Black just kind of being in everything now. And being Jack Black in everything.
Yes.
I think he just likes being in stuff.
Yeah, I don't think it's cavalier. I mean,
No.
look, I know actors have to star in shitty things sometimes, and we might kind of roll our eyes and go, "Look, I got to pay the bills." If you become a successful actor, right, a millionaire, you're going to get a nice house, cars, you have a family, all that kind of thing. And while we might roll our eyes at it, you kind of have to keep making big films to sustain the life to which you're now accustomed, right? It's not like you're rich. Oh no, I'm rich now. You got to keep doing things to, to sustain that life. And yeah, if I moved into a mansion and I had luxury cars and all that kind of thing, I wouldn't want to give it up, you know? Now, I don't know how strong my character is, whether that means I would accept shitty projects. I'd like to think that's not true, but you can't judge him for that, right? But yeah, I think he just likes being in things and being in things for kids and just being liked by kids, and there's nothing wrong with that. But yeah, like when looking to cast a role in a big film, studios will have lists of actors, right? So like, we want a Ryan Gosling type for this. You'll often hear showrunners or directors say things like with Severance recently, oh, we were talking about we wanted an Adam Scott type, and then we thought, why not just ask Adam Scott? You hear that story all the time.
Okay.
So if they want a Jack Black type and he says no, they'll go to the second on the list. So who would that be? Matt Berry, right? I don't know, like, not that he's a Jack Black type, but...
Was that intentional?
No.
Okay.
Yes and no. Like I said it knowingly.
Knowingly...
No, that we'll get to that, but...
Well, no, I was going to say, did you know that Matt Berry was the original... He was supposed to do this, and then
I did not know that.
They got Jack Black instead.
I did not know that, no. But I know he's in the film. That's why I said it intentionally.
Yeah.
Okay, well, there you go. Maybe he is then. But that kind of thing, right? If you can't get Ryan Gosling, you get... Not Ryan Reynolds, but...
No. You get Matt Berry.
You get Matt Berry.
You know what? Just fuck it. Let's just, like... Enough with the foreplay. Let's just put him in everything.
Yeah, he's doing enough. Yeah. But this is the thing. It feels like Jack Black is just saying yes to everything, so they never have to go to the second option, you know? Otherwise, it's a random assembly of characters. Emma Myers, who's the sister, is basically inoffensive. Danielle Brooks is quite annoying. The kid is quite annoying. Jason Momoa is one note, basically doing what Chris Evans is doing in Scott Pilgrim. Yes, the version we both saw,
Yes.
the VFX weren't finished.
Indeed.
So, like, the mouths of the animated characters don't move. There's very little detail. The credits hadn't been compiled yet. Now, I don't think this impacted the experience either way for me.
Okay.
You said you probably enjoyed it more because of that, yeah?
I think I did, because I started watching the version that I had access to, not knowing that it was with it, that the VFX was complete. So once I started seeing, like, the green screen artifacting around Jack Black and... the scenery just seemed unfinished and off.
Yes.
I just thought, oh wow, this is a shit film.
Right.
And then it hit a point where I think the wolf character shows up and it's not even textured.
Yes.
I was like, oh no, okay, I'm watching like an improper version.
Yes.
Let me find a proper version.
Right.
So I did. I saw that the VFX were very, very presentable and totally fine.
Yes.
And I thought, no, I was having much more fun the other way.
Okay, so we're not judging the film on that level.
No, the VFX are fine. That's the thing. That's why I felt comfortable watching that incomplete version because I knew that what I was missing was perfectly fine.
And
I wouldn't have commented on it anyway.
Or praise. Yeah. I'm just thinking about it though, weirdly, because, to do this, we have to pirate, let's face it. We watched, it was, the VFX weren't finished, but it was also like a cinema cam copy, right?
Yes.
How'd that happen?
No, I think well, actually, I don't know.
It wasn't like a HD but not finished thing. I think someone had filmed it.
The sound was cleaner than a cinema copy. But I know what you're saying. There's
it's like someone who worked for the production filmed it,
Yeah.
But anyway,
that's interesting.
Just occurred to me. Yeah, I can't say I shared the feeling that I enjoyed it more. Aside from one moment where Momoa and Black fly through a hole in a mountain, which then explodes behind them.
Yeah.
That was entertaining jank.
Okay.
That was, I'll say that. Occasionally we cut back to the real world and it's like your glasses have been updated.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like, ooh, it's clear now.
Well, I tell you what was actually nice about watching the version that we watched. Mm-hmm. A lot more of it was practical than I was expecting.
That's true.
So, in a way, I want to give the film more credit than if I just watched it. Because I would just assume that it was all the Minecraft stuff was CG.
Yes.
And it turns out a lot of it wasn't.
I think it's rare that that's true, though, to be honest.
But you can see that the villagers are people in suits, and it's just the faces that are CG.
Yeah.
You can see that they actually built the foreground of the set.
Yes.
So it's like, okay, I can actually appreciate the craft of this.
Right, it's not total the CG world, yeah. But yeah, speaking of the real world, Jennifer Coolidge is also annoying in this.
Yes.
There are 6 credited writers for this.
Oh dear.
The collective brainpower of whom arrived at the following take for a Minecraft movie. Sort of 80s influence. Momoa is like a washed-up child gamer. Black Sabbath and Dirty Honey, who were Led Zeppelin sound-alikes on the soundtrack. The trappings of a Jack Black comedy. And I can't help but notice it's not the Minecraft movie, which has been pointed out elsewhere.
Yeah.
I feel like that allows them a lot of leeway.
Well, have you seen what their official reasoning for that?
I think so. And they said because in Minecraft you can make your own story, so that's bullshit.
Yeah.
Yeah, have some, have some balls.
Yeah. I would say, so the second one's just going to be called another Minecraft movie. But also, I don't think studios are that creative when it comes to shit like this. So I could see...
I wouldn't say...
I could see it just being a Minecraft movie too.
That's our go-to. Whenever a film is called something like that, we always say the next one should be Taken TOO and Thraken as my favourite.
Well, they've just announced...
Oh, in space, that's the other one.
Yes.
Space Now Can Hear You Die
Taken
Hard.
in Space.
What would that be called?
Spacekin?
Spaken, yeah.
Spaken.
In space.
I am spaken for.
In Space Now Can Hear You Die Hard, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's horrible. Yeah, but yeah, go on.
Yeah, they've just announced a couple of months ago, the third Now You See Me film.
Yes.
Which is finally called Now You See Me, Now You Don't.
Fine.
Because everyone complained about the second one.
Yeah,
and they were obviously like, do you know what? Fair enough.
I think Mark Kermode's go-to is always a film that didn't happen, but he said, the joke is funnier than most films.
Okay.
I think that it was Hey Dude, Where's My Car? The second one's going to be called Seriously Dude, Where's My Car? Which is great.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah. I'd watch it just for that. Yeah. It was shite, But yeah, it's impossible to care about the plot here or the characters. It's awful. It's really bad. And Matt Berry was the final nail in the coffin. He needs to start saying no too.
Yeah.
He just does. I love him, but he is
but that's the thing.
not loving me back.
I don't know whether he said no or that they couldn't make it work, but he's not playing the lead in this.
No.
But he's still in it. Yeah, they still managed to get him in there somehow.
Yeah. I think there's also, to talk about with this, is the response,
Yeah. Well, is there any more you want to say about the film before we move on to...
No, I'm kind of done with the film.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, it's not very good. And it's that typical just kind of... Considering that there's 6 writers on it.
Yeah.
I don't know whether this is a case of only one guy was ever working on it at one time, but it went through 6 different people. So.
Yeah, I mean, studio films often have 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 writers. It's just they don't get credited. So the fact there are 6 credited, I don't know what that means.
Yeah.
But anyway, it's not good.
No, I think when they first go to the Minecraft, the typical Minecraft village, I think Jack Black says something like, "Oh, the people that live here are peaceful and they're vegetarian and they live off the land and preserve it." Mm-hmm. And then the one place he takes them to is a chicken shack,
right,
where they eat chicken. It's like, well, you just contradicted yourself immediately. The whole thing with Jason Momoa is weird. That he's this. It's kind of like Pixels, where he's this former video game champion.
It's got a lot of this had a Pixels vibe to it.
And then at the end, when he goes back to the real world, they make a Minecraft game, which is nothing like the actual Minecraft game. It's more akin to Street Fighter.
Right.
It's okay, I know you're committed to the 80s thing, but...
Is that also a joke? And then they get the Minecraft game, but it's not what you think it is. it's actually this other thing.
But
I can't remember it, so I'm just trying to give it like some.
I don't know if it's a joke.
Credit.
I don't know if it's a joke.
Because I think that I don't like in shows as well. At the end of it, they go, they get like a deal to make a TV show about their life, and like, oh, what I've been watching is basically it can work sometimes, but often not.
No,
and so maybe that was kind of the joke. That would imply that they counted on the audience to be like cine literate. But like, oh, and there's going to be a Minecraft game. You're like, oh, okay. And then like, no, but it's not what you think it is. It's this other thing.
I don't know. Are they appealing to cine-literate people?
That's what I'm saying.
Given
certainly not.
The people that are seeing and reacting to this film in the way that they are.
No. Unless it's just, it doesn't count on that. It's just a bait and switch. Okay. Like, you think it's going to be Minecraft, but the oldest joke. Like, you think it's one thing, but it's actually the other thing. But yes, let's talk about the response to it.
Let's do it.
So... You've probably seen, we're quite latest, but the party talking about Minecraft at this point.
Yeah.
But loads of viral videos of people going to the cinema and kind of screaming at like things that have become memes. From the film.
I think Chicken Jockey is the big one.
Chicken Jockey, there's a fight, like a boxing ring fight with Chicken Jockey, who I have no idea what that is.
I think it's just like...
It's a rare game character,
It's a rare encounter, yeah.
Yeah. And it's said in the film like it's the chicken jockey or whatever, right? And then they're all screaming that at the screen and throwing their popcorn and just being nuisances.
I think there's a video where someone brought an actual chicken into the theatre and like let it loose when they say chicken jockey.
Yes. So cinemas have had to warn people, basically like...
They've had to call the police.
Like stop pulling this shit.
Yeah.
But my problem, like, look, people are animals now. We know that.
Yeah.
And the cinema is just a wasteland now. Unfortunately, but like, let's not even bother talking about the disregard and disrespect for just humanity by just look. We've been to the cinema. You might occasionally like accidentally leave a plastic pop container or like an almost empty bag of popcorn. It happens, but just like throwing shit at this. And there are cinema like Rocky Horror Picture Show, The Room. It's part of the experience. It's understood that you go there, you throw spoons at the screen, you whatever, you dress up.
But I think those screenings are...
Yeah, they follow that.
Yeah.
Yeah. No,
they understand that that's going to...
That's the point.
You know, like, I think there were news stories about people that just innocently went to see this new Minecraft film that came out.
Yes.
And were, like, scared when the entire cinema around them erupted into chaos. And they're like, what the fuck is happening?
Yes.
Because people they weren't prepared for this kind of response.
Yeah. And like the thing I always think of is I went to see Manic Street Preachers in Cardiff and I had a bottle with me, a bottle of water, and they said you can't take that in. Now probably just because you can't take like liquids.
Yeah.
Anyway. But I like to think it's because in A Design for Life there's the line, I wish I had a bottle. And I think people probably throw bottles onto the stage. Okay. That probably is a thing, right?
Was Manic Street Preachers the one where you said someone tried to start a mosh pit with you?
No, that even worse, because there are some Manic songs you could conceivably do that to. No, that was Echo and the Bunnymen and Jesus and Mary Chain. And
right.
Peter Hook and the Light, the living members of Joy Division. Yeah, no, you do not start a mosh pit.
No.
Like that. Anyway. Yeah, so like animal behaviour. But that's what young people are now. And the thing I hate most about it is that people seem to be kind of accepting of it. Like critics like Kermode, who I've just fallen out of love with. I loved Mark Kermode. And in the last like 5 years, I've really gone off the guy.
Yeah.
But I remember he's kind of softened in his older age. He's not as... We know Kermode for his rants. They are compilations of Kermode rants.
Yeah.
He just doesn't really do that anymore. He might be very disappointed with the film and talk about it for a long time, but the rant is over. He's just older, maybe his energy's... Whatever, that's fine. But he seems to be going back on a lot of like what he once stood for. He and Mayo devised like the 10 rules for cinema etiquette. Like no phones. Like if you have food, it's got to be quieter than like a marshmallow. Like all that kind of stuff. That it can't smell. Which I basically agree with.
Yeah.
You know, like I'm hypersensitive in the cinema anyway. But also I just think like, I know, now that I'm older, people are paying quite a lot of money to go to the cinema. Like, how fucking dare you be rude and obnoxious and
not just
loud.
The people that are paying to go see the film.
Yeah.
The people that work there.
In terms of the cleanup, yeah, absolutely. But I mean, just like on phones and talking and like, there's nothing else like this where you have to pay for this experience and someone else is just allowed to anyway. But yeah, it's like him saying, I think someone wrote into their show saying, look, it's not a good film, but I went with my kid and they liked it, and there were applause breaks and stuff like that. That's another fucking thing I hate that we've imported from America. Applauding at a film. There's no one there. But hey, at least people are enthusiastic about it. And came out to place like, yeah, I can't, I didn't like it, but you can't, as long as people are going to the cinema and enjoying themselves. Like, Mark,
yeah,
what are you doing?
Well, even the director, what did you say the name of the
Jared
director?
Hess.
Yeah, even Jared Hess, because I think he was asked about, like, what do you think about these people destroying cinema? Not that extreme, but like ruining the experience for other people.
Yeah.
And he was like, I think it's great. I think I love that people are responding so well to it.
That's the takeaway.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like completely, like, you're not... has the situation not even been explained to you properly? Because that's not a good response you're giving now.
So the film is awful and its consequences are even worse.
Yes.
Basically.
Yeah, definitely. I think I have actually seen screens, and not even just in America, I think over here, I've seen cinemas advertising meme-along screenings of the Minecraft.
God.
So they've gone... All right, don't go to the normal screenings, but we'll host a specific screening where you can, like, fuck our shit up.
Be pricks.
And be pricks during the chicken jockey scene.
Right.
And I know why, because they're like...
Oh, well, please come to the cinema.
Yeah. Like, that's in the wake of COVID as well, it's like, oh, finally,
but
people
that's
are
the
coming.
thing. The thing that's going to bring people back to cinema are gimmicks. Because that's the thing. The idea of just, why would I go to a cinema just to watch a film?
Yeah.
That's not enough for people now. Like, because they have Netflix.
Yeah.
So if you have to go to cinema, it has to be for a reason. I'm not going to pretend that we go to the cinema we rarely go to the cinema. I accept that. But if we did, we would comport ourselves well and behave and just be adults.
I also think this is the wrong film to be having this conversation about. Because there are other examples of films where people have, like, made going to see that film an experience that has been shared on social media.
Like Barbenheimer.
And like the Minions.
Right, where they wore suits.
Yeah, people wore suits to see the Minions, people wore pink to go see Barbie.
Yeah.
Those are non-intrusive ways of celebrating.
I would roll my eyes and scoff at that. Yeah. But yes, at least it's to yourself.
Yeah.
You're not... Yeah,
it's an experience you're sharing with friends, but it's not disrupting the experience for other people.
Yes. Because it's astroturfing, and that's not the problem with it, right? Have you heard of that? It's like social media, people who are hired to make something appear like a grassroots campaign.
Yeah.
So Barbenheimer will never know whether that was engineered by company, But yeah, like, I don't know. It's when people go dressed in pink to buy, it's like, you sheep. it is like, I don't know. Look, me and groups and communities in general are just like, are a problem. But anything like trend that's like, oh yeah, so we're pink. And so, or people are like, oh, I'm loyal to Disney. Like, you're loyal to a brand. It really pisses me off.
Well, I think I've pointed out to you before, and I'll never get the type of people that are like, oh, billionaires should never exist. Millionaires should never be a thing. But they go to Disneyland like 3 times a year.
I know.
It's like, do you know what system you're feeding into right now?
Look, we're all hypocrites to some extent. And low-level hypocrisy is fine. But, like, yeah, the fact that your worldview is just oriented around this stuff and your life isn't, it's the height of it. And like, I have no problem, like, we've talked about this, condemning an artist and liking their art. I see no problem with that. But they do, Yeah. But they just make themselves into hypocrites then, because they'll continue to consume the art. Anyway, I've had enough talking about a Minecraft movie.
Yeah, it's not a recommendation.
It's absolutely not. Let's move on to our final review.
Okay.
Which is The Pitt.
Interesting one to end on, given the discussion we've just had.
I know. Well, I thought it might be a breath of fresh air. Let's put it that way, because this is a recommendation.
Yes.
Okay, well, all my comments must be qualified by saying that I haven't watched ER. Much of it, anyway.
No. Same for me, but I watched The Pitt with my mother, who has watched ER.
Yes, a big fan of it.
Has rewatched ER several times.
Yeah.
And is in the process of rewatching it again in the wake of seeing The Pitt.
So, yeah, as far as I understand, ER was a proper mix of the personal and professional stuff. Maybe if I was overly familiar with it, The Pitt would ring a samey, or maybe subject to a variety of other criticisms. Maybe. I doubt it.
Yeah.
I highly doubt it, but I just want to give that caveat.
I think this is one of the things I asked her, because you're kind of in a unique position here, mother, to sort of... like, not just does the show feel like ER, but does Noah Wyle feel like...
Yes.
Noah Wyle or Noah Wyle?
Wiley.
It is Wiley, okay. Does Noah Wyle feel like his character on ER? And she was like, Yes, at times, but I do feel like there's enough of a distinction.
Yeah, there's only so much. I mean, it's the same dude, right? So there's only like so much you can do.
Yeah.
But I haven't seen ER, so stuff it.
Yeah.
This is 15 episodes covering 15 hours of one shift in an emergency room.
Not quite real time.
No, it's not. It's not real time.
One episode is 1 hour, but the episodes are not an hour long, and you can tell that they're jumping around a little bit.
Yes.
But they never go outside the hour that the episode takes place in.
No. It's basically ER meets 24, right? But like I said, not,
Yeah.
Why is it taking so long to do this?
I mean, just the schematics of it, right?
But you know what I mean?
I mean, it sounds like one of those ideas was like, oh, fuck, yeah, of course.
Yeah.
But try and just like sit down and...
Yeah, devise that.
Yeah.
No, absolutely. The show in general feels adult, People crack on with their jobs. It captures the hecticness of working in an emergency room, I imagine, right?
Yeah.
A little like a boiling point of medicine. It was interesting watching it week to week, remembering it's hour to hour, because like there are little strands you forget and pick up again. Because again, it's like 6 weeks is 6 hours, and this character hasn't been around because they've gone for a walk or whatever.
Yeah, I mean, there's a guy that's in the waiting room, and during one episode, he's like, "Fuck this, I've had enough," and he walks out, and you realise, oh yeah, that guy's been here for like 9 hours at this point.
Yeah, so you pick them up again, and that was interesting. I've been watching it with my father and my mother. I think watching a few episodes is good, but binging it, not a good idea.
Okay.
Because I think that risks burnout.
Yeah.
Emotional burnout and just general burnout.
Which is the case for the characters, certainly.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I think we broadly need to go back to weekly releases anyway. So one critic wrote that it would have been improved by being reminded of the time, like 24, the constant like clock coming up on the screen. A construct which tanked credibility in an already rather incredible show.
Yes.
24, An hour being done in 40 or 50 minutes allows that much leeway just for getting from point A to point B.
Yeah.
But
also, like, it is the gimmick, and it's something that you are reminded of while you're watching the show, but at the same time, I don't think its quote-unquote real-time nature is actually that important.
The Pitt now.
Yeah.
No, well...
It's important in the sense that it helps give structure to what you're watching.
Yes.
And it does feel like a constant escalation, and you do, like, believe the characters are in the emotional state that they're in. Because you've seen everything that's led up until that point, and there's a strong continuity of those events. But it doesn't really matter that this is happening at the same time that this thing is happening, or that this
I know what you're saying.
Yeah,
I think it's
important. At the time, would just like, it doesn't really add anything, I think, if you were to do that.
Oh, no, it wouldn't. That's what I'm saying. But the problem, 24 is ridiculous. It's ridiculous.
No, absolutely. I agree
That's
with you
my point. It's like, if you just told me 24 was set over 1 hour, all right. But being constantly reminded of the time you're going, he got from there to there in 4 minutes.
Yes.
So definitely not a good idea. Stupid critic. Noah Wiley, like you said, is our lead. Dr. Michael Robbie Rabinovich. Another doctor role for him. He does command proceedings. His features betray the toll of the job.
Yeah.
He has a proper lived-in professionalism about him, which would make sense because he's pretended to do this for much of his life.
It's kind of interesting, isn't it, that on ER he was like the newbie.
Yeah, it's a real sign of longevity because he's the green intern or whatever. I don't know what he is, but now he's the boss, and that's cool. He's a very reassuring presence, like the real MVP of the show.
Yeah,
he wrote a couple of episodes too, so like fair play to him.
Yeah. Well, I think it's him, the head writer, and like another guy. They're all ER.
It was their idea to do the show.
Yeah, they're all ER alumni.
Him, John Wells, and the producer, and the director.
Yeah.
And the head writer, whose name I can't remember at the moment.
Okay.
But it's their three.
It's their passion project, as they said, and I'm sure this is going to be in your notes somewhere.
Yeah.
Their goal with the Pitt was to make the most realistic medical drama that has ever been made.
Yes, and since ER has ended, there are loads of issues that have crap that they couldn't, like they never would have done on ER. They never would have done, obviously post-COVID, but also like, I think he said trans things, I don't love those things, but like that wasn't really in the conversation.
Well, they're interesting things to bring up in a medical context.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And the show does do that. And the fact that this is in a post-COVID world is a big part of what informs Robbie's kind of mindset during the show. Yeah. Because the shift takes place on the anniversary of a doctor's death, I believe.
His mentor,
His mentor,
who died during COVID.
Yeah.
But despite his own private struggles, you'd want him as your doctor or your teacher. You know? And most of the more senior doctors fit that bill. Everyone, while having lessons to learn, is smart and diligent. There's an overwhelming tone of support, right? So for the patients, for the younger doctors, peers, it's a love letter to the medical community, basically. Like, they bring in a character that helped pioneer CPR and the 911 system. And, yeah, like, they pay homage to the history of the profession. Like, I never knew about that. I think I remember it's something House. But yeah, like, they start in Philadelphia. They started... No, sorry, Pittsburgh, obviously. They started the 911 system.
Yeah.
Like, I see it as a West Wing of medicine, which is, it's what we want our doctors to be. I don't know how much it reflects reality. There's more incompetence in reality, for sure. But it's like an idealized vision, a realistic one, but also an idealized vision of the medical community.
Because there's also, the show also has conversations about, like, underfunding and understaffed.
Yeah.
And, like, it doesn't shy away from actually having, like, bringing up discussions that are being had in the medical community
Not at all.
the moment.
Yeah. So yeah, Bryan Cranston's daughter, Taylor Dearden, she is in the main cast.
A couple of famous daughters in this, right?
Yes, Fiona Dourif as well. And there's one other one. I can't remember. But yeah, initially there was an offness to her performance, right? Like, she was clearly going for socially awkward, but it seemed to hit the target askew. And then after she communicates well with an autistic patient, she says her sister has autism. But then we kind of put together that she's probably neurodivergent too, which completely recontextualizes the performance. You know? Fiona Dourif, yeah, she features. Her dad, Brad Dourif, plays her dad in this, which I missed on the first run.
Oh, really?
He just looks, he's older now, you know.
Okay.
There's also an actor from Barry, as in Barry Island. You know, Garen Howell.
Yeah.
Do you not know that?
Oh, yeah, sorry. No,
Yeah.
I thought I was thinking Barry the show.
Yeah, that's right.
And then when you said Barry Island, it threw me off, because I was like, is there a show called Barry Island?
No, yeah. A Welsh actor. Though, I've seen in some interviews, he doesn't sound Welsh in interviews, which is a bit disappointing.
Yeah.
I wanted, like, another Matthew Rhys to root for.
Yeah.
I suppose I still can, though.
Yeah, no. He seems like... I mean, we had Out There at the beginning of this year that he was in, where he was using a Welsh accent.
Yeah.
And now we got this where he's not using
I assumed that was his accent.
Yes.
But it's not.
It
just sounds quite like Radery, you know?
Yeah.
It's sort of trained out of it.
But no, I mean, like, he's certainly proven himself in this.
He's good, yeah.
So, yeah, I'll root for him.
Yes. And there are plenty of guest stars you'll recognise. The more it went on, the more I liked all the characters. And I hope they all return for season 2. I also feel obligated to say that Mohan and Santos are hot.
Yeah.
That just needs to be said.
No, that's worth putting out there.
Yeah, especially when they let their hair down in the finale. You're like, ooh, yes. Doctors.
I think literally every female character lets their hair down in the final episode. Yeah.
Despite the stress and the bleakness often, there are still moments of humour, you know. Equally, there isn't a show in recent memory where I've had to struggle so hard not to cry. Like, in company, that is. I let it go on my own.
Yeah.
Yet, it's not a melodrama. There's no score tugging on the heartstrings. It's a medical drama, so of course there'll be darkness. But the Pit isn't afraid to go dark. Hour 8 is a tough one.
Okay.
Right? Like, so, yeah, a little girl drowns and dies. And then also there's a character, an 18-year-old who's overdosed, like accidentally. And his parents accept that he's brain dead as well. And they're going to donate his organs. Yeah, when Robbie says to the mother, Amber has died, the little girl, that, like, punched me in the stomach. Do you know what I mean? Because I just imagine, like, I'm not a parent, just imagine being a parent and just hearing a doctor say to you, they've died. And I think just getting older as well, it hits harder. And then they have her sister, who she saved from the pool, and then, like, drowned herself. They have her tell a teddy bear that she won't play with her toys without asking anymore when they get back to the house. And then just after that 18-year-old patient that's been there for the season's being moved to another hospital to die. And Noah Wiley tells his parents that the doctors want to attend the funeral. And then they all line up for an honour march as the gurney is rolled down the corridor. Was it trying to break me? Is my question. That's a hard one to get through.
Yeah, but it's never... It doesn't feel, like, sadistic or cruel.
It's not melodramatic either.
No.
It's a shit day.
Yeah.
You know? On the flip side, there's an acute feeling of celebration when they save a life or do something right. Look, there are versions of that in other medical shows, though, again, like, I don't have encyclopedic knowledge, but it's different here. Not just because you like the characters, but because you're on side. You're an advocate of the effort. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
In a way that I haven't felt otherwise. You don't know exactly what they're talking about for large portions of the show, but it somehow doesn't matter. You're just caught up in the frenzy and bowled over by the expertise.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. Like, with medical shows, I mean, most people aren't that watch medical shows, I think. But we certainly are not medical professionals. We don't understand a lot of, like, terminology and everything. Like, picked up basic things.
Of course, yeah.
But yeah, I certainly haven't watched enough to kind of, like, recognise any consistent procedures or treatments or anything. Yes. So I think there's just a baseline depending on the quality of the show you're watching, I think that correlates to how much you trust its authenticity.
Yes.
But it really does seem like the Pitt is actually walking the walk in terms of being authentic. I've seen a lot of doctors react to this online, praising its authenticity.
Yeah.
Not just like in the procedures and like what treatments they're using at what moments and how they're reaching the diagnosis that they're reaching, but just like the set design. I think there's a woman who comes in, and maybe in the first episode, she has a degloved foot.
Yes.
And it's like gory, like you see that shit. And she's Nepalese, I think?
Nepali.
Nepali.
Yeah.
And they don't know initially because they can't understand her.
Yeah.
So eventually they figure out what language she speaks. So they get someone, a translator on a screen to kind of speak to her. And the doctor said the way that that's set up, he's like, no other medical show has shown that in the way that it's actually used. Yeah. So I really appreciate, and just like where the glove dispenser is on the wall and everything, it just feels like a real hospital.
And like, just like getting new scrubs, just seeing like the little admin of that, you know.
Yeah.
I think the emblem.
I think while
I was going to say,
every room he walks into, he's like sanitizing
that's the
his
emblem
hands.
for a lot of people.
Yeah.
And for me, I always notice, whenever he leaves a room, he sanitizes his hands.
Yeah.
Yeah.
His hands must have been fucking like
dry as fuck. Yeah.
When they were filming. But I was just going to say as well, like in terms of watching it with my mother, we didn't like stop that often in terms of like me asking questions, like, oh, what are they actually doing there and everything like that. But she would chip in now and again. But what I found interesting was that the less gory something was, the more of a reaction it got out of her.
As in, like, the more internal things.
Yeah, so, like, when the degloved foot comes in, like, obviously that's grotesque and it's not pleasant. And, like, the floating face thing in the second episode as well is like, oh, fuck, that's awful.
Yeah,
I didn't know that existed. I feel worse for knowing that.
Yeah.
But then when a guy comes in and it's just like, oh, he's got, like, broken whatevers. And it's just like, his chest looks slightly bruised.
His sternum was like collapsed a bit,
Yeah, and that's when she was going, oh god.
Yeah, I'm kind of the same in that, it feels like the gorier it is, the more treatable it is almost. You know, like decapitated heads notwithstanding.
Yeah.
For me, I don't know, the things I kind of cringed, the thing I can remember cringing at was she has like one of the characters has to pop a hip back in.
Yes.
That's the stuff that like makes me squirm a little bit.
Yeah.
And I think someone has a pair of scissors going up through their nostril.
Oh, is that the final episode?
It might be the final episode.
I think it's a fork.
A fork, that's right.
Yeah.
A fork going up like that is like, that's a bit like...
It is, but the doctors are just like laughing at it.
Yeah,
because
it's harmless, basically.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah, and so there are newfangled elements like particular racial studies and it being a post-COVID world, but it feels like an older show a lot of the time. I think partly the font, just no flair.
Yeah.
Partly the presence of Wiley. Like I say, I don't have a great deal of experience with medical shows, but this introduced me to some ailments on top of everything else. Yes, floating face, like you mentioned, which is a rare fracture where the face separates from the skull, allowing it to move about.
Yeah.
I could have happily died knowing nothing about that.
Yeah. Hopefully not from floating face.
Yeah, we are just meat with shilly-shallying luck, seriously. There was also the worm graveyard in the brain.
Oh, yeah.
That would be hard to get used to. The prosthetics are great too. We see a baby's head emerging from the vagina. Despite it feeling like a throwback in some respects, it deals with a lot of contemporary issues in medicine, like, you said, nurse shortages, assaults on medical staff, which have gone up, things like that.
Yeah.
Episode 12, dealing with the mass shootings, is absolutely fantastic.
Yeah.
Like one of the episodes of the year. It felt like a Barantini one-take kind of deal, but it's not.
No.
Proof that you don't need it to capture that feeling.
But it felt a bit more like The Bear to me, actually.
Okay.
Just in terms of, like, it really knew how to pace its chaos.
Right.
Because you feel like you're sort of gradually led into it. Mm-hmm. They kind of start the episode saying, okay, this is going to happen.
Yeah, they're preparing for it.
They prepare it, and then a couple of patients turn up, and then kind of almost out of nowhere, you see, like, there's just people, like, in the hallway bleeding out, and there's people covered in blood, and...
Yeah.
But it all builds very naturally.
Yeah.
And just like, I think the moment when they bring in the guy who's been shot and he's confused and he reaches for his gun and everyone in the ER, like, basically hits the floor.
Yes.
And you see, like, the entire room just kind of ducks down.
Yeah.
And I just remember thinking, like, oh yeah, I didn't notice
how crammed it was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think, like The Bear, it's very good at the good seasons of The Bear, because not so much now.
No.
Yeah, it really knows how to pace its anarchy.
Yeah, absolutely. And when Robbie fails to save his, like, de facto stepson's girlfriend, another doctor tells the stepson, if he couldn't save her, nobody could. And I believe that.
Yes.
Do you know what I mean? That's the power of that character. Dr. Robbie for me is like Matthew Fox's Jack in Lost, also a doctor incidentally. If he cries, I cry.
Okay.
Do you know what I mean? So that's that power. I think he's front runner for the Emmy at the moment. I really hope he wins it.
Yeah.
It's between him and Adam Scott. Like, if Severance triumphs, which I expect it to, I don't mind. But I would really like Noah Wyle to win actor.
It's become an interesting conversation almost, all of a sudden. The, like, what's going to win at the Emmys? What's going to be considered, like, the best show?
Yeah.
So, I mean, we've still got a lot of the year to go. And I think when we reviewed...
Not for the Emmys, we don't.
Not for the Emmys, but in terms of just, like, the whole year, we've got a little while to go. And I think when we both reviewed Severance, we were like, well, this is probably locked in now as, like, the best of the year. But we've got the Pitt now, and it's like...
And I alluded to that. I think in our review for Severance, I said, there's usually one great show at any given time, but there might be another one now.
Yeah.
This is what I was talking about.
Yeah, absolutely. They're both doing very different things, but they're both doing them, like, really, really well. Like, Severance is doing something completely, like, original.
Yeah, then there's no comparison. Yeah.
No comparison. But the Pitt feels like it's doing something very traditional, but incredibly well.
Yeah, like you can't compare the shows. You can't compare any one show to another, really.
Yeah.
But they're not trying to do anything that's the same.
And that's what I like. Is that we've got two great shows this year that are doing two completely different things.
That shouldn't be stepping on each other's toes, you know? It's only just because it's awards and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
But so then, finally, like, I wondered throughout the season how they'd end it. Had they just committed to cracking on with cases, I'd have understood. But I'm really grateful we got to decompress and spend some time with the characters outside the hospital.
Yes.
Like, standing on the roof, that was a great bookend to the season. Also, I haven't really written in my notes, but I want to single out Sean Hatosy for praise as well.
Okay.
Abbott, the other attending that comes in to help with the mass shooting.
Really nice reveal as well at the end of the show.
Yeah.
Because
we know he's the veteran. Was a doctor in the field in like Iraq.
Because he talks about it a lot, and he's got all of these little like tricks and techniques that he's learned out in the field, which come in useful when they're in dealing with the match.
Because they're in a combat zone, basically.
Yeah. There's even a moment where they run out of blood, so he's just like giving blood while he's treating a patient.
Yeah.
And then in the final episode, when they're having a beer outside of the hospital, he takes his fake leg off.
Yeah.
Which you didn't even know he had.
No.
And that was just like a great little moment to me because
it doesn't define him.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And it just like that felt that was kind of like the show, not in a nutshell, but it's just a moment that really worked because it was an understated, like that character, his disability was never brought up. You never even thought of him as disabled, and now you see that and you're like, oh, that's like. I appreciate you so much more now.
In a way, I feel like a falling schoolgirl when I think about the Pit or talk about it, because it's like, I just, beyond what I can say in its favour, artistically, objectively, I just like the characters.
Yeah.
I just want to be with... I've seen quite a few articles that said, we haven't said this in a long time, but we're going to miss these people.
Yeah.
And I really like... It's a shame that it's not on every week, you know? Like, I just want to see them again.
Yeah.
But yeah, also the rooftop scenes, they filmed both scenes on the first day.
Okay.
Not knowing how they'd end up at the second scene. So like there are things that are said, so, like Abbott compliments Robbie on a great speech. They had no idea what that would be. Like what that's be. That's like,
you know,
it's like the gun in this final season of Breaking Bad.
Yeah.
It's just be confident.
Yeah.
Like you'll figure it out, you know. I'm not saying I need to see their home lives. Like we often sing the praises of films and shows that are strictly on the job, no personal problems. But here I would welcome that stuff because I do like them.
Just to spend more time with them.
Just to spend more They probably won't do that. And we know the second season is going to be set on Independence Day.
Ooh.
So like heat, fireworks, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
But I went in thinking this was going to be an obligation show. A medical drama on Max. Yeah, I'll watch it. It was a major surprise.
Yeah.
I love this show.
Yes.
I really love it. Yeah, for me so far, it's my favourite show of the year.
Oh, wow. Even more so than
Severance.
Wow.
It's my favourite thing of the year so far.
Okay.
That's obviously all I have to say about it.
Because of its emotional resonance.
Because it's like a perfectly... The acting, the directing, the writing, the editing, all that stuff is great. And also, it affects me emotionally.
Okay.
And I like the characters. Again, I'm not comparing them, but like Severance... You can say a lot about it. It doesn't like hit me emotionally. It's not that kind of show. It's a cerebral show. And you can. A lot of critics will be sniffy and say, I mean, they love the Pit, but a lot of them will be sniffy about things that evoke an emotional response in you or a visceral response, and say, oh yeah, but the fact that the Severance is more detached than cerebral means it's better. And I think no, there's nothing wrong with generating an emotional response in people.
Yeah.
Like, is it Roger Ebert? I can't remember who said it, but like. Film, movies, TV, art is a machine for generating empathy. And the Pit definitely did that. And there's nothing wrong with something making you want to cry or feel ill. That's that's fine. That's life. So yeah, I love it. I would recommend it to everybody. I mean everybody. Like Severance, I would not recommend to everybody. There's a contingent of people that just are not going to respond to that show. I'm pretty confident in saying pretty much everyone is going to like... Okay, not everyone's going to like it, but every demographic. There's no demographic that wouldn't like it.
No, this is definitely, like, of all of the shows that have come out this year so far, and maybe all of the shows that have come out in recent years, this one has the best chance of resonating with the most people.
My father likes it, my mother likes it, we like it, your mum likes it, like, everyone likes it.
Yeah.
What else is there to say?
And yet, you can't watch it. At least not in the UK. It's just not available at the moment.
I've seen articles on that as well, the inexplicability of that, like, what the fuck is going on here? People are saying it's the best show in years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's bizarre, because, like, The Last of Us, I know The Last of Us is massive.
Yeah.
But that's like, all right, well, save it.
We'll review that later.
Yeah, like, I think the day of or the day after it's in the States, it's here in the UK.
Yeah.
And there are so many shows, like The Penguin made its way over here. And again, I know that's franchise.
I was going to say that's HBO. Like, they usually, like with Sky Atlantic and everything, they're good at that. Like Game of Thrones, obviously, like the big shows. We do get them basically the day after. But this is HBO Max.
Yeah.
So, like, there's, I don't
know, maybe the UK broadcasters thought it was going to be an obligation show. It's like, oh, no one's going to watch another medical...
No, but an obligation show for us as quote-unquote critics. Yeah, I got to stop doing that. As critics.
Yeah.
As like, oh, it's just this well-reviewed medical show, I guess I'll watch it. But in terms of viewers, people love medical dramas. There's like 3 or 4 new ones every year.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah, this year we had Doc, we had Pulse, that I think you might be talking about in a later episode.
Maybe. If I can get through it.
Well, is there even a point now? But... Yeah, so it's a pretty safe bet, I would say, to
maybe
get the pick. Anyway,
I don't know. I've seen some speculation that I think Max are planning to launch a channel in the UK.
Okay,
so I think they're waiting until
that's
do that.
their boardwalk. Is that like, oh, we're going to
bring
launch
you the Pit, which that's a hell of a show to bring in a new channel.
Yes,
and that is something that like I would consider like subscribing to UK Max if it means I can just watch the Pit whenever I want.
Right,
but I don't know. It does feel like a massive misfire not bringing it over to the UK.
I'm sure it will come over.
It'll come over eventually, and I really hope that now that it's got such a positive critic reception, such a positive like audience reception, and the fact that it's been commissioned for a second season, and that it's got all this awards chatter around it, and also they'll finally get their arse in gear.
It might be setting a trend in the industry as well. I think the CEO of or the president of HBO basically said, "This is the kind of show we want to be making because it's cheap. You know, we have the set." And we have the actors, but like there's Noah Wiley who's getting big bucks on that show.
Yeah.
Also, so I want to single out Catherine Lanassa. We haven't met her at all.
Okay.
She's the like the head nurse or whatever you want to call it.
Oh, the charge nurse.
Charge nurse, that's the one. Yeah. She's great as well.
Yeah.
Anyway, like we get 15 episodes a season, cheap to make, and we can put it on for like a lot of the year. So this might be kind of industry wise as well, like setting new expectations.
That'd be good.
So it seems like a very successful show across the board, really.
Yeah.
What else is there to say? That's it.
Other than, well, no, I can't, because I can't say go watch it, because you can't yet, if you live in the UK.
Well, we managed.
Yeah, find a way. If there's any show worth finding a way to see it, it's this one.
But also, if it does, Max do open a little thing over here, and it's on there. Watch it there too, just so that they definitely keep it around.
Yes.
And that's it.
That's it.
We'll see you next time.
All right then.
Bye.
Bye-bye.